These people will absolutely have public executions if we allow them. If they were allowed to do it, Cenk Uygur knows that these people will start throwing people on the wall. They would throw them in prison. They will persecute, they will torture, and they will even publicly execute people if they are given the opportunity. That's what I believe Cenk Uygur believes.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
It's the one drop rule of the proletariat. If you do absolutely anything, then you're the proletariat, and you deserve an equal share. But do they view it as exploitation if you convince them to do it for free for a political cause? He's asking for their labor to go out and do this messaging every single day as much as they possibly can. The only way you can get people to do this without compensating them would be to convince them that Trump wants to kill people in the street.
If you are a moderator, what I need you to do is
your labor for free.
You need to become an evangelist for progressivism.
When do we get a break? Do we get a 15-minute at any point?
And you push back against MAGA narratives all day, all night, nonstop. The battle is in the public square. And
he wants you to work 24/7 for free.
Yeah.
He wants
Correct.
every waking moment to be in service of the revolution for free, and you're being exploited if you're being compensated.
Is to become a full-time evangelist.
Full-time!
Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, talk about it.
Because you're being exploited if you're being underpaid, but you're passionate if you're volunteering. And how fucking great is that, dude? Welcome, comrades! I'm RD, short for Rhetorically Defective, here with my descendant of dry dicks co-host Patrick, and we are done with it. A podcast that's dedicated to the sea of communists that just don't get enough attention. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube to see the video of the podcast, link in the description. So, Patrick, normally you pre-watch a little bit things that we're going to be reviewing. I don't believe you've really seen the video I'm about to show you.
All right, and I just want to say that is this part 2 of Tunis? Is what we're doing?
I can't do part 2 of the previous episode because he canceled the space. He deleted the space. He made the space so it's not retrievable at all whatsoever.
Interesting. I thought you had recorded that space, so I thought you had the space. Oh no, then I'm not watching this video.
Dude,
so proceed.
I'm trying to not take up as much space on my computer and hard drives as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, I get that.
I will download stuff, but I really didn't want to have to, and I didn't think he would think anything of it, and I thought he would leave it up, but apparently he didn't leave it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, he probably listened to it back, and he was like, I mean, do you think he actually had the one single solitary self-aware moment when he's like, "Well, I'm retarded," and then just deleted it? I doubt it. It's probably not why.
I have no idea, but he said he didn't cancel it. It's just that it's canceled. So, Patrick, how would you feel if I said to you, I personally find Hitler's solutions not to be for me, but his analysis is universally accurate. Would you still consider me a Nazi if I said that? If I said I agree with Hitler, I just don't agree with his methods. Well, it's like you agree with his methodology.
It makes no sense. So so if you're looking in the context of this, his 10 solutions, you might even say his 10 final solutions at the end of the Communist Manifesto. They're not for him. But what's hilarious is that he used his dialectical analysis to get to those 10 solutions, which basically says the dialectical analysis, if you're following this logically, is useless. So Pastor Ben he's so stupid.
It's not as if Marx already had his 10 solutions and then wrote his way to the end point. That's not how Marxists work at all, right? So Pastor Ben Dixon, the person we're going to be watching today, in 2025, about the strategy for progressives, we're going to see how quickly that melts away. What?
I watched this video earlier, by the way.
Oh, you watched it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Pastor Ben, June 20th, 2024 says, I personally find Marx's 10 solutions at the end of the Communist Manifesto to not be for me, but his dialectical analysis is universally accurate. The person says, Marx will lead you to worship Satan. Drop it before it's too late, because this is Pastor Ben. And then Pastor Ben goes, read again. I said it's not for me. He just agrees with the methodology, but not with the implementation, which by the way, was Barack Obama's defense for Saul Alinsky, where he didn't agree with his methods, but he agreed with his ideology. Saul Alinsky will be covered at some point.
I do love that guy said that it would make you follow Satan, because it kind of does. What's funny about that is it's kind of like saying, it's essentially believing that you can use the tools of evil to not arrive at the same evil conclusions as the person that created them and use them for your own purposes. This is essentially what Pastor Ben Dixon is saying. That's what he's saying.
It's not even just the tools, but it's the way to address reality. It's not even like a hammer. It's like a warehouse. It's like a system of how to address reality.
Wait, is that funny? Is it like right? What he's basically saying is that right? Just like real communism has ever been tried, and there's never been a real communist, according to Tunis in the previous episode, which I'm assuming will air at some point. Marx himself actually didn't even try real communism because he misapplied his own approach and came to the wrong conclusions. But don't worry, Ben Dixon, I'm sure, will get to the correct conclusions. That's sure.
Well, that's embarrassing.
What's embarrassing?
That it didn't work. I love the idea too. Like, Marx was never a worker, and he's speaking on behalf of the workers, and so we have to listen to the workers about a methodology of a man that was never a worker.
Yes, he's just a bum who would he lived off of Engels. It's really quick here. Look how funny this video is, the thumbnail. This is how silly Ben Dixon is. He added Cenk and Anna separately, but then kept.
Oh no, that's AI. Look at their faces. That's not them.
Yeah, right, totally. Yeah, especially Anna, you can really tell. She's like Anna, the real Anna Kasparian is much more attractive than that. Shout out Anna. But what's funny is that he he should have edited the face of the guy with the peace sign maybe into something else, but he just kept the star of the Flash posing over the grave. I'm very confused by this. It could have been done much better. But anyways.
Well, they're, as we're going to see, they're not very good at marketing, implementation of their ideas.
This video is so cringe. The shit's cringe as hell.
Well, so what's really fascinating after a Trump win is the leftists, the maximum left, going, okay, new strategy, same strategy. That's all they can do is the same thing over and over again. And there's so many things going on in the news that I don't care about because this is going to be happening in a cycle forever. So I really just care to talk about this because instead of looking in the news cycle, remember something, forget something, remember something, forget something, that's just bad for my brain. I'd rather focus on the methodology and the lens and the framing that these people use to address reality and really hammer that home.
For sure. And note, I cannot wait for the part where he keeps saying progressive and leftist back and forth, almost as if he's essentially adding his own hyphen in there in his brand new synthesis of what the left must become in order to defeat Donald Trump and fascism.
Well, that's not the only synthesis. Apparently, MAGA is being he's not projecting dialectical materialism onto MAGA. He's not doing that, even though he's saying that. Okay, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
TYT is dead. Long live TYT.
So
that the model of a charismatic Cenk Uygur, who is the president and CEO over his own little corporation that people trust is going to be progressive. That model has to die. Why? Because that model has failed us time.
So something else can be reborn.
That model is what the North Star was supposed to be. Where is it today, Sean King? That model is what we built.
Where is it today, Sean King? I really, so a reoccurring theme that you're going to see is that no progressives can hold any power because we can't trust them to hold any power. And he's not going to realize that that's what the issue is.
I know. And I love how he calls for a complete decentralization. The best is when I won't spoil it, but what he calls on Cenk and Anna to do in order to make the Young Turks great again.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny, bro. It's so funny.
With Bernie Sanders, that model is what we built with Barack Obama, and I see how much we the people entrusted in those movements, into those organizations, into those charismatic leaders, and as soon as those elections were over, where did all the infrastructure go? Where did all the email lists go? Where did the ability to mobilize the masses into a movement go? That model of progressive leadership is dead. TYT is dead. Long live TYT. So by now, you've seen every interview, you've seen every analysis, you've seen more than enough videos as to the problem with what Cenk Uygur is doing and using TYT to accomplish, he and Anna Kasparian. I want to say it from the outset that this is not a video to attack TYT as an entity. In fact, it is an appeal to Cenk Uygur to preserve and to save TYT for what it...
No.
Really odd introduction to then... They're already being duplicitous, where it's like, it's dead. Long live it, it's dead.
No, but so because, right, what he wants to do is he wants to co-opt TYT for his own purposes and essentially finagle his tiny little black ass inside of its giant water buffalo dead husk is what he wants to do.
Well, that's the thing. They can only co-opt, they want to just take the risk. This is like the agrarian reform in Mao's China. Now that somebody else has put in the sweat and labor into building something, they want to they go give that to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing, though, right? They didn't build it; the people built it with memberships. But then Cenk sold out for his big studio with the name on it, and it's the whole thing. It's the whole thing.
I know, but no one's been stopping them from doing this the entire time. Hey guys, make your own little co-op. You don't want to do that because you don't want to share the profits. No one's stopping you guys from collectivizing under capitalism but yourselves.
That's what I always say to the separatists, whether they're white or black or if they're communist. Like, if you don't like it, if you don't like the system, I mean, you could try to fix it. But if you want to fundamentally change it and destroy it and turn it into something else, like the system is corrupt and there's too much power at the top, a bunch of this other stuff. Like some of the communist analysis is correct, but even in spite of the corruption, you can still, if you want, finagle and maneuver your way through the system to then go live somewhere else and create your own system if you want. They just don't want to because they hate everything and they want everyone else to be miserable.
No, they can't be owners. Owner is bourgeoisie. To progressives, by the way, who are not Marxist. They're just left of liberal.
But it's really funny because all you're going to see here, though, is for him to basically say is so what's happening here is that Cenk and Anna, specifically Cenk, has created the TYT, and all the power is now consolidated in the form of an evil state, which is TYT. Yeah. So essentially what he's asking is to take over TYT and become his own little dictatorship of the proletariat with the true voices of the progressive movement. And then eventually it'll disperse down to the masses. No. And then we'll have a true communist utopia when it comes to online shithead YouTube commentators.
He doesn't agree. He doesn't agree with the solutions for Marxism. What he wants to do as a solution is to, like a little bitch, nag and try to guilt you and try to demoralize you into doing it. Mm-hmm. So you'll hand it over willingly, as opposed to taking it. That's my interpretation.
And that's why I respect it. That's why I respect the tankies more. I'm like, just say you want to take it, because that's what's going to end up happening. But anyway,
that's why I respect the ACP more. I never thought I would say that. The American Communist Party is very clear with what they want to do. I can respect that more than the bitchy, quote unquote, a westernized version of Marxism.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to, and the ACP doesn't want to cut kids' dicks off. So, I mean, but if there's a false side left between these assholes and the ACP, I mean, throw me in the ACP all day. I'll freaking wrestle. I will wrestle Eddie Liger until I get cauliflower ears. I don't care.
It's what people invested in it to be. And that means that there is a model of leadership that has to go away. This is not an attack on TYT. In fact, I hope that this is a way that TYT can be preserved, because as it stands right now, the trajectory that Cenk Uygur has chosen has been rejected by the people, the very people who helped build his platform, the very people who gave rise to his voice. He is in the position that he is in, not because of his own ingenuity, but because the people trusted in him as a charismatic leader who was going to do what he said he was going to do. So no, this is not an attack on TYT. But before the end of this video, and I hope that I can keep your attention for as long as possible, but before the end of this video, you will see I am making a case, a strong case for the preservation of TYT. But TYT will not survive if it continues to go underneath the same model that has beguiled all of progressives for many years. It's not a problem that is just germane to TYT. It is a problem in progressive spaces holistically. What is that problem? It is the idea of a charismatic leader being entrusted with all of our funds, all of our resources, all of our subscriptions.
You have to be half a step away from being retarded if you consider Cenk Uygur to be charismatic.
Well, I mean, he's something. There's a reason why he's able to do this.
He's a buffoon.
When I watched him,
he got in on it early. He got in on it early. He's been doing this for 20 years. Similar with Sam Cedar. Neither of them would be able to come up nowadays if they tried to start this a couple of years ago. They got in on it early.
Yeah, for sure. I also think it's funny that he's like Ben Dixon is framing this as if like the people the people really own TYT, and like they need a different. They can't just have a charismatic leader by Cenk Uygur. And I'm like, bro, like you have your own show. Other people have their own shows. The Young Turks have their own show. Like Silly and Billy over at the Vantards and this asshole Ben Dixon, they have way less followers, and yet sometimes they get more views and likes than TYT. So he's making it seem as if like TYT has some sort of monopoly on the market, and that's like the only game in town.
Well, so he's saying that based on Cenk's rhetoric of they're the largest progressive voice.
Oh, okay.
So that's in response to that.
Gotcha. But it's funny too because I mean, really, like I've known this for a while, but if you look at watch the Vantards cover the TYT, but if you just look at TYT videos, what they have 5-6 million followers, subscribers, and what they get like 15, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 views. It's pathetic.
Well, also in their defense, this happens with David Pakman as well. So there's a method of distribution of videos where the more videos that you release, you'll get less individual views, but more overall views. So if you go to Brian Tyler Cohen's channel, he'll do less uploads, but each one's getting like 400,000 views. His views per video is insane.
You know who doesn't have that problem? Freaking Tim Pool. That man releases so many videos.
Well, that's the right-wing money behind him, Patrick. That's what it is. It's never. They don't believe in merit. They think merit doesn't exist under capitalism.
It wasn't even right. Well, no, they'll claim that it's Russian money because of his deal with Tenet Media.
All of our memberships and those resources going into a privately held corporation over which that one individual leader has complete domination and control.
Leader,
their own personal fiefdom. TYT.
It's his show.
Is not the fiefdom of Cenk Uygur.
Look at how he spelled thief. Did you think he was saying fiefdom?
Yeah.
Okay, can you read on screen what it says?
Fiefdom noun. I think that's how you spell fiefdom, isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was like a thief. Thiefdom. I've never heard of fiefdom.
No. A fiefdom. A fiefdom is it's like when like a king lords over everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But it's just funny that it's literally Cenk's show. He could do with his show what he wants.
No, it's not Cenk's show, because if you're appealing to progressives, it's the same reason why Vosh and Hassan are terrified to expand into anything else other than their own individual success.
Well, that's
because they can't hire people because they have to split everything equally.
Yeah, and that's a good call. They shouldn't. They should.
Right.
I mean, think about it. It's literally like Vosh and a couple of mods. Just literally sit there, pay your mods measly amounts of dollars, and just rake in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for yourself. That's the perfect model for them.
Well, we're gonna see an even better model, and it's what Hassan does, but on steroids. But I'll leave that toward the end of the video.
At least it should not be. What TYT is and what it represents more than anything else. I'm not talking about the corporate entity over which I'm sure Cenk Uygur has solid and solidified control over.
Yeah.
But what TYT represented for the people here in the United States of America was ostensibly an independent media movement sponsored and supported by the viewers so that they could be free from any type of corporate control and so that they can be free to represent the interests of the people.
Cenk Uygur got $20 million from Katzenberg. So, it wasn't built from the ground up like Tim Pool or like Steven Crowder or even like David Pakman or even like Sam Cedar, even though Sam Cedar was, I think, nationally syndicated on the radio, maybe similar to David Pakman. But people on the right build it up from the bottom, like a lot of leftist content creators do, but then Tim Pool's allowed to hire people within his morality. These people are not. You have to be retarded to start a progressive network because they're just going to claim that you're exploiting them. No matter how many trans or black people you hire, you're just going to be exploiting them because they're not getting an equal amount of what you've created.
Well, yeah, no, it's right. I mean, as soon as that happens, what do you have? A hierarchy.
Exactly.
And hierarchies, I mean, the hierarchies are anathema to these people.
But I mean, do they not know that this was started off with a $20 million investment? Did none of them know that? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just funny too, because like hierarchies are just like hierarchies. It's funny because they hate hierarchies. That's why the rights, like businesses and everything like that. That's why people that adopt more conservative values, a lot of the times they're successful because hierarchies are just represented in nature, independent of men even existing. So it's just like a natural rule of existence that is true. So that's one of the reasons why I hate the left so much, is because everything about their project is antithetical to anything natural or real. Like
I know, but I don't have the envy and like jealousy of someone that's successful. When someone else is successful, I go, awesome. I wasn't gonna fucking do that. I wasn't gonna work 80-hour weeks and have the focus and energy to create something from the ground up and to create opportunity for other people. Awesome. I don't have that innate jealousy that leftists seem to have.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have a jealousy. I would say that sometimes when somebody does something, I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Like maybe I'd like to do something like that. It's not so much a jealousy as in like almost like a kind of like inspiration to be like, oh, maybe I want that, you know?
Yeah. That sounds emotionally healthy.
That's not where we are right now.
Yeah, they're not emotionally healthy.
So when I say TYT is dead, I mean the model of American progressives pouring millions of dollars into an individual corporation, thinking that the president or the CEO of that corporation is someone that we can trust is going to operate based on progressive values when political times get hard, when financial times get hard, when any type of issue gets too difficult. We expect progressive leaders to hold the line for progressive values. And time and again, nearly every single entity in which we have entrusted our resources, where are they now?
I guess they're all pieces of shit. I guess they're all snakes. I guess it's a pit of snakes, hissing snakes.
Yes, like at the DSA, hissing at each other.
Right. He's like, we can't trust anybody that we put in charge. Like, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it.
But the issue isn't the progressive. The issue is the perverse incentive. But it's like, don't take the have morality and don't do it. Resist it. You can still be ethical under capitalism. Like, no. The issue is that we're trusting one guy. It's like, well, no, he hired a lot of other people. Trusting one guy is really Hassan or like Vosh and a lot of these other independent progressive content creators who know what they're doing and they know to not do what TYT's been trying to do. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where are they now? Where is the leftist media entity that is standing up, that has the amount of resources that TYT has been entrusted to lead us in this moment? I've written an article to accompany this video so that everyone can be crystal clear on what I'm saying and what I'm not saying, and more precisely why I am saying this.
Oh my God.
I don't intend on doing.
I just had a thought.
Yeah.
No, wait, go ahead. What were you going to say? And then I'll say my thing.
Well, it's fluff. He's like, so I wrote an article, and the reason why I wrote this is why people do not watch your videos day to day. Yeah. Obviously, he's eaten off of the TYT content, but like, if you wrote an article, which is like, I don't know, make a video, I guess, and do an article, but he's like, yeah, so I wrote an article, and the article is going to go into more detail from what I said, and it's going to talk about what I do believe in, what I like. Oh my God, why would you put that get to the point?
And the best part is, like, he says it over and over and over again. He's like, yeah, I say this way better in the article.
Oh my God, right.
He's basically like, he's like, I'm really sorry about this dog shit video.
That leftist insecurity peeking through.
I'm really sorry about this dog shit video. Go subscribe to my Substack, you stupid bitches. This is basically what he's saying.
Well, this is off the top of his head, and he's uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, and I just had a thought, is right, every time they try to make communism happen, right, power ends up getting consolidated into the top. and then they are then critiqued, right?
Because well, that's why, as we learned from the last episode, that you're not communist if you don't give it to the people.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Was right. They always so you get people that try to do a communism, and then all the power gets consolidated at the top, and miraculously they can never actually disperse the power down to the people to create the stateless, classless, hierarchy-less society. And they always get mad at the people at the top that do that. But it's funny. It's because they get mad at these people for trying to for not being able to accomplish something by definition. A utopia can never be accomplished. So they're like, what the fuck? Why couldn't you bring peace on earth? Why couldn't you be Jesus? And they get mad at them over and over and over again, and then overthrow them, and then try to do it again. Millions of people die every time. It's hilarious.
It's built hilarious. Into the ideology. Depressing. That's why it's meant to be Ouroboros. That's why it's meant to be a snake eating its own tail. They already know that.
Correct. And that's why I think communism followed to its natural conclusion, especially as we develop more technology. We have nuclear bombs, we have AI, we have drones. Communism followed to its natural conclusion, basically has no choice but to essentially destroy humanity, I think, in the long run. Because eventually it'll get so big that the collapse will be apocalyptically catastrophic, in my opinion.
But that's what makes Marxism satanic. I would love to see where the path to hell is paved with good intentions comes from. Because, it is it's not satanic necessarily from their beliefs explicitly. It's consequentially the end point is it's literally they're creating Baphomets all over the place.
Well, I think it's both. I think it's ontologically evil and consequentially evil.
In every capacity, yes.
Yeah, because it's basically, it's essentially saying that you could usurp God and become God yourself, and then bring God's kingdom to earth, which is satanic in its nature. I hate them.
Doing many more videos at all about TYT. I do want to give this one last thought
where all your views are coming
on the
from.
Issue. Yeah, there's a lot to dig into, and I really do suggest that you read the article so that the thoughts can be outlined for you more clearly than I'm even capable of doing in this video. But I do want to go over some of the key parts here. Some of the key nuances, some of the key issues.
Okay.
Here's the difference between left-wing media and right-wing media and mainstream media.
The synthesis.
And it's in this intersection that I believe we will absolutely find what happened in 2024, why there was such a definitive shift towards the right across this nation. That's because right-wing media for the last 4 years has been funded, almost like a slush fund. And never-ending supply of cash being poured into right.
So I intuitively want to bring up how Kamala Harris had more billionaires, but funding her than Trump did. It had more money than Trump did, but that's not progressive. The Democrats are not progressive. They're talking about progressive. Those are both right-wing, which is how a Marxist would view these political parties.
Yeah, correct. And it's funny, too, because all these idiots, these leftists, these communists on here, always bemoan about how the left-wing media, and when they say left-wing media, is talking about, Ben Dixon, the Vanguard, Hassan, Bosch, none of them actually get, real funding. And it's the thing is, these people basically act as the revolutionary arm, the vanguard of the Democratic Party. These people are literally designed to try to push from the ground up different types of changes in order to slowly move society in a specific direction. And the Democrats, the Fabian socialists, act as a stopgap to be all right, we're going to keep going, we're going to keep going, we're going to keep going. Well, you don't actually have to say the crazy things that these people down here in the bottom are saying, but we'll slowly start to incorporate their demands.
Joy Reid is a fucking Marxist. Just listen to her talk.
Complete Marxist. And it's funny.
But they don't have anyone in media representing their ideas, right?
Exactly. But here's the thing. Why would the Democrats provide these people with funding? Why would anyone provide these idiots with funding? Because all of the shithead leftists are already finding them. The algorithm really, really helps them on YouTube and other different types of things. Maybe not Twitter so much now, but a lot of different areas. So the Democrats gain nothing from funding them. It's just a waste of money because they're already doing what the Democrats want to do, even though they don't even realize that's what they're doing. That's why they're useful idiots. They're so frustrating.
Right-wing media from all over the planet, to be quite honest. Of course, you had American billionaires pouring resources nonstop into organizations like Charlie Kirk and Turning Points USA, into the Daily Wire with all the venture capital that they had, with the ability to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars per month on advertising on YouTube alone.
I love the idea that everyone at the what was the event that Charlie Kirk put on? Amfest. I love the idea that all of them are right wingers. The people that were there. It literally was Cenk Uygur's dream to have these people from not just the same political party, but from different areas of political parties to come and discuss these issues, and that's why Cenk Uygur was invited there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Amfest is mostly right wing.
Mostly, yeah.
It's a TPUSA.
I'd say it's
event.
more inclusive than a left wing gathering of people.
Yeah, well, I mean,
like James Lindsay, for example, you said it like that he was there, and it's like it's not exclusive. That's the point that I'm making. They would call James Lindsay right wing, and there's other people that I can find there that aren't explicitly like they're still right wing critical. He's literally the guy that's behind the woke right dialogue. Okay, like to call him right wing and to call to associate all of them with right wing is very disingenuous.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that I mean I have a bunch of problems, different types of problems with the right wing and whatever.
Yeah,
but like the thing is that like look at them taking Cenk in. Like, yeah, they're using Cenk, right? There's a part of it they're using him, but at the same time, they're like, yeah, dude, like we really want to stop people from cutting kids' dicks off and cutting little girls' breasts off. So like anyone could just come here. Whereas like the left, I mean, does the left welcome anyone from the right in on anything?
They don't welcome people from the left. That's what this whole video is about, Patrick.
Yeah, that's true.
You think they're gonna welcome? No, no. That's his whole point. You haven't listened to a word he said. You can't welcome the right because they're fascists, and we're going to see what level of fascist they are, and what Ben Dixon thinks might happen under a Trump presidency.
Also, take a shot every time he says call to action. Press play.
He had podcast after podcast after podcast, every up-and-coming MAGA superstar with a new YouTube channel, with a new podcast, with a new web series. Everywhere we turned, we were inundated with right-wing media. That had a definitive effect on the outcome of the election.
Yeah, it's almost like, besides Fox News, there's no legitimate right-wing source in mainstream media, and they had to take to the internet in order to try to match CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS. It's almost as if the conservatives had to use massive amounts of funding to essentially use underground type networks online in order to combat the giant DNC progressive leftist media apparatus.
Never mind
all over the country.
Hollywood, corporations, schools, never mind every fucking institution. You were just talking about mainstream media.
The universities, the freaking the pharmaceutical industry, I mean literally like everything. Silicon Valley, although now they've got their own tech bros as well on the right. It's ridiculous. Like why would the right do this? Why would they have to do this? Fuck you, Ben Dixon. I mean, dear Lord.
If you take away right-wing media between 2020 and 2024, you do not have a second term of Donald Trump.
What does that mean?
I love it. If you completely censor your political opposition, they will not win.
If you take away left-wing media between 2016 and 2020, you do not have Joe Biden as president.
Well, what they had was a quarantine race war, and the Democrats, which apparently aren't on the progressive side, really seemed to take a shining to it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. It's almost as if they're willing to use psychotic communists for their own goals.
Oh my god!
And then throw them away once they're of no longer use. And they're like, all right, retards, go burn things. All right, stop burning things. Don't do that.
But they might be telling their base that's the only way people will listen. I think that's going to be a line that's used in the next couple years. Wait,
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, when BLM was burning shit down, the Democrats won. They need to feel how mad we are in order for us to be heard, is how they're going to position it.
Yeah, well, I'm interested in seeing. I mean, you have these two terrorist attacks first off in this year. I don't know, man. I honestly have no idea what's coming. It terrifies me a little bit.
It is normalization with the terrorist attacks. We could probably agree. We're just getting used to it. I'm already used to it. There's another one that's going to happen soon.
Wait, what?
There's another terror attack that's going to happen soon, I bet. I mean, like, I'm becoming desensitized to it already.
I mean, technically, I'm holding my breath. I'll be holding my breath all day on January 20th, his inauguration.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care until it happens, because even you can see something coming from a mile away, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I don't even care to investigate it. I care to comment on it at this point, because I've already driven myself crazy with trying to scream from the rooftops when I see something happening.
Yeah.
And this is what makes what TYT is doing. And again, let me correct myself. It's not TYT as in so much as it is the leader of TYT, the owner of TYT.
Yeah,
Cenk
owner.
Uygur. This is what makes
Bourgeoisie.
what Cenk Uygur is doing so damaging right now. And this is why I'm doing this final video on the matter. And then I'm moving on, because there's so many more things that we have to fight for and things that we need to do. We can't grieve over the loss of TYT much longer. We have work that we have to get done.
Wait, I thought it wasn't TYT. He keeps
it's TYT is dead, and it's long live TYT. It's constantly both sides at the same time.
If you look at the amount of conservative media that saturated the United States over the past 4 years, there's no way that you can conclude anything.
Yeah, all of those culturally relevant Daily Wire movies that really took the nation by storm, right?
No, I know, right? The only one who's able to break through the only one who's able to break through 2 times is Matt Walsh. Everything else is white noise that nobody gives 2 shits about. You had What Is a Woman and Am I Racist? That's literally it. That's it.
Well, that's the issue. There's too much white noise, and now we need some black noise. Here we go.
Oh my God, stop yourself.
Other than the fact that we have been underneath a regime, a media regime that has manufactured consent and shaped and warped the minds of the average American viewer towards MAGA conservatism, which is, just like Cenk Uygur stated months before, fascism.
So they laid out a plan for a full-blown coup against this country. And then they executed that plan. And they even considered, they had a 3-hour meeting where Michael Flynn proposed martial law and rolling out tanks against the American people and killing anyone who opposed us. And the only reason why they didn't do that part of it, because to be fair to the rest of the people in the Trump administration at the time, they said to Trump, every one of us will resign if you roll out those tanks. He wanted to do it. He's a dictator. He's a fascist. That's not hyperbole.
There's no question about it. This was not the United States or...
Now, Cenk Uygur has dug himself into a pretty deep hole, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think. And it's funny, too, because, like, I remember an interview that Cenk gave, and he was like, someone was like, you called Donald Trump a fascist in this headline of this article. And he's like, I must have said that, but it was clearly just using hyperbole. Meanwhile, here's a video of him literally
fucking
saying
lied, but that's what they all do.
Now, here's the thing, is that, so he's talking, is he referencing Donald Trump saying that he's going to mobilize the National Guard during the Floyd riots?
I don't care what he's. Is
that what he's saying?
Maybe I don't know what he's referencing. It's immaterial. It's immaterial what he's referencing because of the incendiary political language and fear-driven propaganda that he uses with what he's saying. There's no justifiable context for this. This is what he wants to do, not what he's done. Already been president. Don't be afraid about what the left's actually doing in the streets. Ignore that. Be afraid about what Trump wants to do and what he attempted and what he's gonna do. It's never what he did.
Organically moving closer to Donald Trump. This was the fact that every time you cut on the television, there's Fox News, Newsmax, OANN.
Maybe every time you put on the TV, what are you talking about? It depends on what TV you're looking at. Like, he would have had a stronger case for, like, online media. Maybe. But like every time you put on the TV, it was Fox News. Yeah, when I go to a car dealership or if I go to the dentist, they have Fox News on, right? And not like CNN or at the airport. CNN's known as the airport channel. People will see CNN on a TV and go, oh, that's where people watch that. Because people don't watch it. They choose to not watch it. It's the right wing isn't pushed in their face. They seek things that are not left because it's tired at this point.
Exactly, and just look at that. Look at the omnipresence of CNN, right? Even if people aren't watching it, it's still everywhere. So people will look at the headline and, they digest that and they're like, oh, okay. And then they don't check the news the rest of the day. And they kind of probably believe what they read on there for 2 seconds. Like OANN Newsmax. Like, who's watching that besides I don't know anybody who watches that. I don't know anybody. I mean, I'm sure people do.
I know,
They
but we
exist.
talk to people on the right, I feel like, a lot more than they do. And then whenever they have a perception of someone on the right, I'm like, what? That's your perception? You really don't talk to anyone on the right.
Well, no, and that's always the thing, right? Is that the people on the right can explain the left. The left,
Right.
the left can never explain the right, ever.
Time you go onto YouTube, whether you're watching a progressive or not, the algorithm recommends someone from conservative spaces.
No, I'm getting recommended leftist content because I watch it. It's like you would have had to have watched it to have it be offered to you.
I know it's like he doesn't understand how the algorithm works. Like he doesn't.
Well, he has a Marxist analysis. He just disagrees with the solutions, Patrick.
And even if the algorithm wasn't organically recommending someone from the right wing of the United States of America, conservatives had millions of dollars that they could spend on advertising, putting them and placing themselves right in your face so that no matter where you went in this country, you were inundated with a right wing message. And it went further.
So this is propaganda, and it works because these are the type of people that are used to being told what to think. They're not going to think back that that's not true. What he's saying right now, they're like, oh yeah, I was surrounded by it. But if they really go back and think about it, they were surrounded by the left telling them how to think about the right. They can't name all these Now, people on the not left can name all these examples of things that they've seen in the media that's actually been pushed in their face.
Elon Musk purchasing Twitter for $44 billion, turning it into a right-wing echo chamber over the last...
A right-wing echo chamber.
Can I just say that I don't understand how these progressives and communists view themselves as the quote-unquote resistance when every single institution pushes all of the things that they love and hold dear. I don't understand. I don't understand it. None of it makes any sense.
Well, that's the entitlement. That's actually a good point, but that's where the entitlement comes from because they're used to, they have a false consensus effect. They overestimate the amount of people that agree with them because they're surrounded by their preferential opinion.
Yeah, I guess it's so
And then when you take it away and push back a little bit, now it's a right-wing echo chamber. You guys have Blue Sky. Don't you guys have Blue Sky? Go over there. You've already made your own thing, and it's surrounded with kiddie porn.
Right. It's also really funny because if companies start pushing their agenda, start doing this, start doing that, all they say is that it's just capitalist, and there's probably some truth to it, but they just poo-poo and just brush it away by saying, oh, it's just capitalists pretending. It's just capitalists pretending. But that's how they always end up saying. It's hilarious.
2 years leading up to the election.
It just frustrates me. I'm just going to reiterate that all of society, mainstream society, has accepted their view of reality in so many ways, and yet they think they're in the minority. It's so strange.
Why do you suppose they always target rich, affluent white people, where they're used to everything going their way, and somehow that jives perfectly with this Marxist directive? And then when things don't go their way, they're like, that's where the leftist Karens come into play. Like, what did you just say? You're not wearing a mask?
Election. And instantly we saw all of the techniques, all of the mechanisms, all of the ways that the progressive movement made progress over the last 10 years become co-opted and weaponized against progress. And that's how you get the rightward shift of the United States of America. Cenk Uygur
He sounded really confident, like he just made a point. What was his point just then?
That the right use the techniques of the left, which is why the right is winning now? Is that what he said?
And I honestly don't care to revisit it.
No,
but he had conviction when he said it. I know that. I know that if I wasn't listening to him, I'm like, yeah, that. Hey, leftist, what did he just say? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, basically. I would love to listen to this guy deliver a sermon in whatever church he works at. That'd be great.
Right.
multiple interviews has seeded the point that, oh, look, conservatives won, and so we must go over there and negotiate with them.
It's not that conservatives won, it's how bad the left lost. Like, that's Cenk's point.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell, like, they did everything in their power to demonize Trump. I mean, and then that last month, they went right back to Orange Hitler, and like none of it stuck. People were just like, we are really sick of expensive eggs. I'm very sorry.
Can I tell you a secret right now? Promise you won't tell anybody. Everyone listening, cover your ears. Joe Biden is still the president. I've never even heard of a president in history that has acted like he's already fucking dead for like months after the election. He just disappeared.
He's reportedly going to New Orleans to visit after the terrorist attack.
There's no footage of Joe Biden now. You would think this is prime. Get your last jabs into Joe Biden.
You'd think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's probably just been chilling on his beachfront. It's basically what he's done his entire presidency.
Not addressing the underlying factor that caused conservatives, MAGA, to win, which is exactly up his alley. Media. How did conservatives win? How did MAGA win? Media. How did they win?
So there's no truth, right? There's only framing. There's no such thing as objective truth to these people. So they have to have better propaganda is how he's analyzing this, right?
Yeah. And it's funny too, but what does he mean by media? Does it just mean like citizen journalists that think about how they really won. Like a big part of why the right won was because a bunch of disaffected liberals and some leftists, but a lot of conservatives in here too, but a lot of disaffected liberals and people that are a part of different types of establishments started seeing all of the insane DEI, ESG, and child mutilation procedures that were being done in these institutions and started leaving and blowing the whistle. So more and more and more people that aren't going to have a giant flag outside of their house with the word Trump on it started talking against it. And I mean, like, for instance, what is it? Gender or Wider Lens, the podcast?
Yeah.
It's two super, like, if you listen to them, it's just like two well-to-do white ladies that you would assume watch The View or something like that, or like the BBC, talking about, like, dude, it's hilarious. If you actually listen to that podcast, they basically say that it's a death cult that wants to destroy humanity, just like James Lindsay says, but in completely like shit lib rhetoric.
Kindergartner terms, soft language when they're describing things.
Soft language and very, not hyperbolic. You're not talking about Gnosticism and pantheism, any of that. But they say the exact same thing. And so you had all these people noticing how insane everything was going. And eventually all of those voices, it became a point where I would assume that a lot of liberals, like, I would like to see how many liberals voted for Trump this time, previous liberals.
Well, there was people that voted for Trump and AOC. You saw that, right?
I did.
They voted for Trump nationally, but AOC locally.
And it's funny, too, and I think that's because, like, it's like, they're like, oh, the policy differences and different ideologies and metaphysics, but I feel like they're just like, we like the populist messaging, even if they're two different types of populist messaging is what I feel like.
They're not really afraid of Trump. Like, they try to act like they are, but they also have this insane guilt where they have to still elect AOC. I feel like there may be a duality of that, because like how can you rationally justify that?
But if you just like look at it in its face value and just hear the populist messaging and then ignore like the actual content of it, I don't know.
Well, why would you vote for AOC?
Because AOC pretends to be a populist.
Okay.
Like a Bernie Sanders populist.
So you're separating. Okay, okay, I understand.
Yeah, like left wing populists. It's kind of like what Cenk's trying to do here, right? It's like, hey, the populists, let's get together.
I know, but he's saying it to the wrong fucking people.
Wait, what do you mean?
His populist messaging, I understand. It's paper thin. He would have to be able to go deeper, because with populist messaging on the right, there is a lineage of like the Constitution. And what that means in terms of populism and the tyranny of the minority and how people have these really innate rights across the board. But then when Cenk is talking about populism, it's like, so then what? So it's still the same dog shit leftist policies. So I guess it's not even who he's saying it to. I guess it's trying to be a left-wing populist is fucking impossible.
You know, it is. I mean, literally, left-wing populism is just code for communist. Kyle Kulinski calls himself a left-wing populist. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
Media on YouTube, media on Facebook. How do they win? Social media. How do they win? Mainstream media. How do they win?
Here's how much of a boomer, because all leftists are boomers, he thinks Facebook played a role.
I know. Facebook played a role in 2020 with Zuckerberg.
It played a role in increasing the numbers of farmland played by fucking 60-year-old women.
Did I ever tell you one time my mom was so into farmland that she had to go?
It.
Yeah, of course, right? So this is how into farmland my mom was. She was so into farmland that one day she wasn't going to be able to tend to the farm. So she gave both me and my sister her Facebook login information so we could log in at different times of the day in order to tend to her crops to make sure they didn't die. But anyways.
Win media. That's how conservatives, that's how MAGA won. And this is exactly the profession of Cenk Uygur, media. And what does he do immediately after Donald Trump wins? He goes to conservative.
He's fucking holding a handkerchief because he's a pastor, dude. Go fuck yourself.
I know, dude.
Fucking
and also, can I just say that, like, what he's saying is so empty and so vapid and such horrible, like, terror, like, it's just such empty, vapid rhetoric. And he thinks that if he emphasizes random specific words like he does when he's behind the pulpit in the church,
right?
He thinks that he's like actually saying something and rallying people, and like he's literally just.
Well, the difference is that there's truth behind the message of God, so it works with that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Although I don't know. I mean, it depends on how this motherfucker.
God knows what he's spitting, right? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, remember that freaking Twitter comment earlier? It's like, don't go down the Marx rabbit hole, otherwise you're going to start worshiping Satan.
Hey,
so.
I don't agree with him. I just agree. It's his universal analysis.
Yeah.
What the fuck pastor claims that an individual like that, an atheist, their universal analysis.
Yeah, Satan and demons want to get inside humans and corrupt their souls, so they can't be with God. I don't like how the end goal is corrupting the soul, but I would like the process of being able to do to the soul whatever I want. My name is Ben Dixon.
Media, and he surrenders. He doesn't go to conservative media in order to fight. He doesn't go.
And by fight, it's like Francesca Fiorentini, it's like Emma Vigeland, it's being really uncouth, rude, demeaning, demoralizing. That's what they mean. They don't mean debate. They're so fucking jealous that Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk have gone to campuses and they will do live Q&As. How Steven Crowder would go on the side of the street. They cannot do that. All they have is propaganda. No one's stopping you from going out into the world and recording conversations. Candid conversations, like that is very rhetorically effective. That you will just go out into the world, record it, and that's how logically sound. That's how much truth you're spitting, where you can just go out into the world and you know how to counter what anyone's going to say. They can't do that, and they short circuit.
Well, yeah, I mean
they're subjectively objectively correct. They just say they're objectively correct.
Yeah, when your theology and ideology is built on lies, if you talk to somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, you're going to end up looking like an idiot. They're trying to defend the indefensible.
Go to conservative media to hold the line. He goes to conservative media in order to gain acceptance. Now, the question is why? Originally, I said he's a traitor. And that's still a very strong possibility. Then I thought more about it. I said, well, maybe he has financial constraints concerning all of the money that he took from Republican investors over the years. Maybe times are hard and he's just going to do whatever he has to do to make sure his company stays afloat. I completely empathize with that. That does not mean I agree with what he's doing, but I can empathize with that. And then I considered a third consideration.
He considered a third consideration. He's considering he's considering a consideration that has been considered is what he's doing here. It's amazing. It's amazing.
As I look back at old interviews and episodes of the Young Turks and I listen to Cenk Uygur describe the threat that MAGA really is, I'm convinced that Cenk Uygur 100% understands that MAGA is a true fascistic threat.
Every one of us will resign if you roll out those tanks. He wanted to do it. He wanted to do it. He's a dictator. He's a fascist.
Oof.
That's not hyperbole. So, and here, I'll upset a bunch of people on the left. Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley are not fascists.
Who's
They're
a fascist?
terrible people for other reasons.
Who's specifically
but they've never
a fascist?
done a coup against America. They don't use direct Nazi quotes that Trump does. The only fascist that is an actual threat to democracy is Donald J. Trump.
Yep.
He already tried to end this democracy once. And guys, last thing. The other day, he said, immigrants are poisoning the blood of our nation. That quote has only been used by Adolf Hitler and Donald J. Trump.
I love how he fucking kick flips over a gorge and lands it cleanly with the Hitler reference at the end to really put the nail in his own coffin right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I think Jake Uyghur's a goon and a goof and a blowhard. But hey, man, J.D. Vance once basically said that Donald Trump was Hitler.
Also true.
So Cenk Uygur, there's room here. Although I'll be honest, I'm uncomfortable with the immigrants poisoning the blood of our nation rhetoric.
Have you heard him say it?
I don't know. That's
exactly.
A good question.
Dude, don't take his fucking word for it.
I read an article. I'm going to look it up later. I'm going to look it up.
So he's telling you ahead of time, I'm a Nazi. Ooh. It's not like I didn't warn you. I used absurd Hitler quotes.
Ooh.
I pulled them out of history and I said them for no reason.
Wouldn't it have been hilarious if like Charlie Kirk played this clip over the giant screen at Amfest? It would have been so funny.
The amount of things you could play about Cenk Uygur as he's talking. I want Cenk to really appreciate how soft Piers Morgan has gone on him when he's on that fucking show.
I know. He's one of the more embarrassing individuals.
Piers loves it. Dude, Piers is great.
He's hilarious.
He plays that so well. Oh, is that right-wing media?
Yeah, I know. I do love it. It's it's got like a lot of Jerry. It's very it's just like everyone could just eat each other all at once, and they're all just screaming at each other. It's very Jerry Springer vibes, is what it would be. That's what I would call it.
Listen, just to let you know, I am a Nazi. He then, remember, he had dinner with Nazis. Nick Fuentes and Kanye West, they had dinner talking about how the Holocaust wasn't so bad, and Hitler.
Famous conversation they had that the Holocaust wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
famous.
Isn't that ridiculous? Like, he assumes because Nick Fuentes downplays the Holocaust, and he's not a Nazi, but he's a graper, so it's like splitting hairs kind of. But like, I'm sure that's what they were talking about at the dinner table. I guarantee it was half the time Fuentes being like kind of a little awkward, and then trying to talk to him about some policy and stuff. I don't like Fuentes, but if you listen to him, he actually does talk about policy, and I guarantee it was just Trump like brushing aside the crazy, insane shit that Kanye West was saying and just being like, okay, Kanye. Okay, that's what I assumed the dinner was.
Destiny has a series of debates with Nick Fuentes from like 7 years ago, probably. Like a 4-hour debate, one of them. And Nick Fuentes, just deflection, moves the goalposts, just a rhetorician. Like, I guess he would be like woke, right? More so than other things.
No, I'd say that. Yeah. He wants to institute a monarchy with the Catholic Church as the head, even though the Catholic Church is a communist. But they don't really care though, because like they're basically like distributists, which is they're essentially communists by another name. So
there was a hero. Those are things Fuentes has said. Those are things Kanye West has said. He happily had dinner with those Nazis.
You deserve.
And when the Nazis marched and said the Jews will not replace us, he said there are good people on the Nazi side. How many times does he have to tell you that he's a Nazi before you believe him?
I'm convinced that Cenk Uygur 100% understands that MAGA is a true.
This is completely superfluous comment, but he keeps adding an N into Cenk Uygur's name. He says Cenk Uygur every time. It's driving me nuts. Anyways,
fascistic threat. That they will carry out authoritarianism and totalitarianism. They will use political violence. I honestly, when I look at what Cenk was saying before the election, I see someone who sees the threat exactly the way I see it currently today.
Okay, so what he is imbuing in Cenk Uygur is based on Cenk Uygur's rhetoric. They both agree, and let's see what they both agree on.
These people will absolutely have public executions if we allow them. If they were allowed to do it, Cenk Uygur knows that these people will start throwing people on the wall. They would throw them in prison. They will persecute, they will torture, and they will even publicly execute people if they are given the opportunity. That's what I believe Cenk Uygur believes, because you can't go from everything that he said before the election and just throw that away. So what am I saying? The third possibility as to why Cenk Uygur is...
I love the cuts and how much he's rambling just to try and get this video out. It really was off the top of his head. He even made a trailer for this video. Did you know that?
No.
Before it came
hilarious.
out. So he's so used to not getting a lot of attention that now he doesn't know what to do with this attention. So in his mind, it's his big finale video, and he made a teaser for it, like a boomer.
And it's so funny because like the people like Ben Dixon drive me nuts. Because, dude, I could do an entire podcast about the threat of like Elon Musk, AI, transhumanism, all of that. None of them ever talk about anything that is actually a threat. They're like, oh, Donald Trump's evil. Donald Trump's a fascist. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's just like, yeah, I actually think the H-1B thing is actually pretty good. And
abortion up to the states.
Yeah, we should be bringing over some Indians. Like, what do you like? What does it's just crazy. It's just crazy that I mean, sometimes Donald Trump says some ridiculous shit, okay, but a lot of the times it's taken out of context, and then he's literally talking about allowing immigrants to come into the country, which is counter-signaling what like James Lindsay would call the quote-unquote woke right. So yeah. It's fascinating to watch something so disconnected from reality. And like I said, there's so much to criticize Trump and Musk and Vivek and all of them over, but they don't actually criticize anything substantive or anything that's worth
criticizing. Well, the things that you would criticize them on are not salacious. They're kind of like functional things. Like there's things that you can criticize them about, but it's almost not worth criticizing because you have to like combat against they make you defend them. It's like no, that's not what he said.
And you also well, the thing is, if you really want to criticize like Elon Musk, like you have to look into him. You have to look into his history with his father and his grandfather. They're technocrats. His transhumanist leanings. What he wants to do with AI. What he wants to do with humanity. Those kinds of things. These people don't actually, any communist, leftist, right? They don't understand the right because they don't listen to the right, so they don't look into the right at all. They don't actually even know like what the quote unquote actual threat could be from somebody like Elon Musk. They just criticize him because they're like, I mean, like one time I literally heard a leftist say, "Ooh, Elon Musk used to walk around in South Africa with gems in his pockets that was from the mines in which the slaves gathered the gems." And I'm like, he wants to put brain chips in your head. Drives me nuts.
Well, you know they call destiny a gusano, right?
Can you explain? So I've heard this term and I've read it briefly. Explain what it means.
Gusano is a slur for a Cuban person who had land, who was, because remember, Cuba became communist, so they were the ones that were revolted against. It's like a worm. That is the translation.
Is that like a kulak? Do you know what a kulak is?
Yeah, but I am not studied enough to equate the two. But I mean, they were taken over by the reform. It's an agrarian reform. It's agriculture. They usually start with farmers because they own their own land. Yeah, that's usually what they start with, and or in landlords too.
Yeah, right. And they hate farmers because they're taking the land that belongs to the people. Here, look, kulak was the term which was used to describe petite bourgeoisie who owned over a certain amount of land towards the end of the Russian Empire. I love how every communist shithead in every country has like a different term for the exact same phenomenon.
They're not the same They're not billionaires. They're 100,000-aires. So they're petite bourgeoisie.
Oh, demons.
Is the fact that maybe, just maybe, Cenk Uygur sees the threat. He knows that it's a threat. And the best strategy that he has to combat the threat is to surrender to them as a sacrifice, to be the vector, to be the entity in their spaces that softens them and pushes back against their violent tendencies. What do I mean? I mean,
yes. What do you mean?
By Cenk going to Turning Points USA and saying, we can disagree, let's fight, but let's go have a beer.
And the number one thing to hold your ground on is constitutional rights. So I'm going to do some...
Like the Second Amendment.
Eats his balls.
So, no, I know. So guys, look at that. We totally disagree on that issue.
We're gonna have a beer afterwards. We're gonna have a beer.
But what do you mean you disagree on the Second Amendment?
He wants. Well,
what do you mean we totally disagree on that?
Yeah, well, Cenk talks about that. He wants to severely, because Cenk's like a boomer, right? So he uses like boomer rhetoric around the Second Amendment. So he's like, oh, it's a well-regulated militia.
Okay.
And he thinks that regulated means as if the government is supposed to be in charge of it, even though it basically just means it basically just means a militia of the people that is in good order and works well. But of course, they're communists, so they're authoritarians, so they rework all of the rhetoric around it into consolidating power into the government.
I know, but like in his mind, in his boomer mind, he's like, see, we disagreed. And it's like, do you think that's rhetorically strong? This is why he's a useless idiot. Why would you say we disagree on the Second Amendment? What he should have said was that we mostly agree on it and there's further discussion and we should talk about that over a beer, right? You shouldn't just say you disagree on the Second Amendment.
I also don't understand, I guess they're leftists and communists, so they don't read history that much, or if they do, they read it through a specific lens with different authors. But the history of the world, especially the 20th century, are governments disarming their people and then killing them en masse, whether it's on accident or on purpose. So I just don't, especially if leftists think that the police and the military are fascists.
Yep.
They want the people to have.
I know, but the right supports that, so they can't.
I guess, but it's just insane, though. They hate the police. They hate the military.
Would you say they're defending an indefensible position?
You'd think. And not only that, but it's once I used to hold this position. I literally was abolish the Second Amendment. That was literally a position that I held when I was a shitheel, woke commie. And once I actually looked at the logic or the lack of logic in it, I'm like, this is a suicidal position that has no logic, and it is purely emotion-based. They haven't looked into the logic of it for 1 second, which makes sense because they hate Jesus, and he's the freaking logos and ethos, and all they have is pathos. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
Ask her for that one.
No problem. No, but that was an important moment because we totally disagree on that issue, but we just shook hands anyway.
We're gonna have a beer.
And you know what we'll do afterwards? We'll have a beer.
By Cenk going to Turning Points USA and saying, we can disagree, let's fight, but let's go have a beer. He's trying to set the Overton window for the actions that MAGA will take to say, okay, we don't like them, we disagree with them, but afterwards, let's go have a beer.
Trying to set the Overton window? Dude, I think I'm going to fast forward this a little bit right now. That doesn't even make any sense. We're a little behind in the video right now.
I could try to steel man what he's saying, but it's not worth it.
Go ahead.
He's trying to shift the discourse towards what MAGA is going to do to normalize it in order to try to shift the Overton window that way.
Shift. You don't set the Overton window. You shift it.
Well, dude, he was. What did he do before? He explained an explanation. I can't even remember.
No, considered a consideration.
Yes, a consideration is what was considered. Correct.
Yeah, he negated the negation. All right, let's see.
I'm gonna shoot myself in the head.
See what's going on here.
IT is dead. Long live TYT.
That's why
the
I shipped
structure
forward.
over the last 20 years of progressive movements has been centered around charismatic leaders who become their own lords and their own barons, lording over their fiefdom. And what is that fiefdom?
Wait. Oh, charismatic leaders. You mean like Mao? You mean like Stalin? you mean like Lenin?
Okay, well, so the way that
the
way that they westernize it is they're very decentralized. That's what they learned in the West because those other places were not liberalized. They didn't have individual rights. They were easy to supersede. So Western Marxism has to be decentralized. That's why there was BLM, the movement, and the organization. There's no leaders, even though there was leaders. There's people leading the way.
I think it's centralized, but it has a veneer of decentralization. I feel like.
Well, right, but then that's why with the Proud Boys they say Enrique Tarrio's the leader. Trump is the leader. They'll isolate their target by saying they're the leader, but then with them, like with Hassan Piker, how often do you hear him say, "I'm just some shitty guy on the internet saying my opinions," and then on other hands, he's a political force. None of them want to be a leader because none of them want to be accountable. So what they'll do is they'll do the opposite and say, we're decentralized, they're centralized. And that's what he's doing now. The power is centralized with Cenk. Progressives need to be decentralized.
I can't. It hurts my head.
Fiefdom. That fiefdom is audience, paid subscriptions.
Who married this guy?
Email lists, communication networks, even opportunities. From Barack Obama, who came in on the wings of a progressive movement.
You would have thought I rewound it and not fucking fast forwarded it right now.
Barack Obama, who pretended to be a progressive and was just a neoliberal globalist shithead.
All he can do is go in circles and then wonders why people don't listen to them. We'll do it right this time. Progressivism will be done right this time.
Oh, I'm sure.
To Bernie Sanders, who came in on a hotter version, on the next iteration of that.
Once progressivism and communism finally kills everyone, then you could finally say that real communism was actually tried and successfully put forward.
Oh, dude, I'm going to be a superstar in the gulag. I'm just going to say told you so in the gulag every fucking day. I can't wait.
Same progressive movement in the political realm. What did they do? They created a fiefdom over their resources so they're targeting capital, okay?
Yeah,
now,
correct. Yeah.
All capital is currency that acts as an intermediary to resources. So what he's explaining right now is what they would do even when there is no capital. It's whoever has more resources. He's not listing money right now. He's just listing a variety of different kinds of social currency and resources. And that's what they will take when there's no capital.
And it's funny, too, because they'll say that they call the free market system capitalism, although I understand that to an extent it's hard to have. It's like we have a free market in that we have opportunities, but at the same time, it's not as good as it could be. But they'll say that the free market basically views humans as like cattle and as capital, but it's not really, because it's like, dude, you could do what you want. You could just make something, and then if people like it, they'll buy it from you. And then you could use that money then to build a life for yourself and do whatever the hell you want. But under communism, they literally atomize everyone down into just capital, into cattle, make them into cattle, control every aspect of their lives, try to control their minds with the promise of one day finally being free.
As the chairman of the American Communist Party once said, everybody wants to wear a jumpsuit.
Both of those political movements that we poured resources in financially, we gave email addresses to, we helped create and sustain an entire network that reached millions of people across this nation at the drop of a dime, at the push of a send of an email. We were able to reach.
He's literally just saying that, like, he signed up for a newsletter, so now he thinks he should own the Young Turks. I signed up for a newsletter.
If you do anything.
I signed up for a newsletter, and now I'm going to seize the means of the Young Turks production.
It's the one drop rule of the proletariat. If you do absolutely anything, then you're the proletariat, and you deserve an equal share.
Stop yourself.
Millions of people through these charismatic leaders. What happens when those charismatic leaders move on to something else? Bernie Sanders' email list now in the hands of the same Democratic consultants that frustrate us today.
Your email went
same
right
with
to
Barack
the DNC.
Obama.
Like, they have their own email list. He's telling people to read his article, and it's like, probably in an email list, yeah. So, like, make a network where everyone can access all your things all at once. But here's the issue with decentralization. What are you supposed to do? Watch 30 people a day? Or do you unify it into one direct messaging to everyone? So I understand I like the American Communist Party so much more than these people because they don't know what they're doing. They actually don't have any solutions, and that's why the ACP probably will grow because it's people that are quote-unquote progressive, just like how Eddie Liger, one of the chairmen, was. You know, he was a Bernie bro, but there's no answers with Western Marxism. It has to be centralized. And so a lot of people are going to be, at a certain point, imagine being a fucking shit lib leftist, democratic socialist, social democrat, whatever, progressive. It's what Anna Kasparian's going through. She's like, what the fuck have we gotten done in 15 years? What are we doing? And then you either go further left or further right at that crossroad.
Yeah.
Let's go to the media. In the media, we had individuals like Cenk Uygur, TYT, who became the cornerstone of the progressive movement, and thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people poured millions upon millions of dollars into this organization. But it was not a decentralized organization. It was Cenk Uygur's personal fiefdom, where he controls every aspect of that company, where he determines what's going to happen, where he determines what's coming up and what's not going to happen.
It's not a democratic workplace, and here's how it starts.
I just can't take it. There's no such thing as a decentralized business. If you have a decentralized business, what you end up with is just a committee. You have a committee of people, and so you essentially create a new hierarchy.
A boardroom.
Yeah, exactly. It's just these people, exactly. And then within that committee, then there is, I mean, I guess if you could, I guess, design the committee so it could be democratically, but at the same time, it doesn't matter though, because like natural law, like just nature will
in a
dictate.
Hospital. Why the fuck is the janitor voting on what the surgeon should be doing?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know anything. Workers are stupid for the most part. If they weren't stupid, then they would own their own business. And then they say, well, they don't have capital.
Yeah.
So when but when I say stupid, I mean that you don't know how to run a business. It is very hard work. And they can start their own co-ops, but they don't because they're lazy and unskilled.
And yes, and everything is based in a lie, right? So like, okay, so like communism, leftism, all of this is always about suppressing human nature, right? Trying to suppress human nature. And sometimes suppressing types of human nature is good because, like, say, right, if you suppress your libido, right, instead of just going around dumping loads into chicks all over the place, right? Like you go, okay, I'm like innately designed biologically. If I'm an animal, I'm going around and just having sex with everybody, trying to spread seed everywhere, right? Biological functions. But in order for a society to work and in order for a child to grow and to actually become a person, to be able to do what he wants, you literally have to suppress that in order to like have a family and be with one woman, ideally, and then raise the children together. So,
but they don't want the greater good to be for your family. They want the greater good to be for society.
Yeah. Exactly, but at least with the family, you're suppressing an aspect of human nature that is destructive, and you're embracing another aspect of human nature that is actually like nurturing. With these people, it's just suppressing human nature purely for destruction. That's all it's for, and deconstruction.
Purely to target their political enemies, which is why it's so satanic. Because their political enemies represent good. They can go on the street and hold on. I mean, like, they can go on the street and have conversations. They can they believe in the free marketplace of ideas. They believe in the right believes in, the fascist right believes that their political opposition should be allowed to own as many guns as they want. Said no fascist in human fucking history. That's what I mean. I don't mean specifically. I mean, they are the antithesis of the thesis that is the right.
No, like literally, like generally, like your average conservative is like, it's like, see that blue hair person down there with their tits cut off with a giant gauge in their nose? They're nuts and they might want to kill my family, but I would defend their right to own a gun. Like,
that's exactly. So, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it.
He determines the trajectory of TYT, not the people. And so when I say TYT is dead, long live TYT, what has to die in progressive spaces is this idea of a singular charismatic leader who is going to carry us to victory. Why?
I would say he's charismatic. He's jealous of people that are charismatic. He keeps bringing it up, dude. The insecurity is pouring through his fucking pores right now.
It is. It's really funny too, because in a minute here, he gets.
We have to cover the end of the video, which is why I'm scooting forward.
Yeah, and his insecurity really gets at play here in a little bit, because he basically goes like, "Now I might be saying this to my detriment," because like he basically insinuates that he could be the charismatic leader.
Right.
I feel like that was like he's like that was like a soft like maybe launch. He's like, I'm just throwing it out there.
Patrick, I could dunk a basketball. I could dunk a basketball. I just don't feel like it. Okay.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Because every time we have done that, we pour resources into that individual's organizations, and that individual's organization is usually something that they control alone, something that they dictate alone. And even if there are other people involved, those individuals hoard over those. How many of you have? Think about all of the progressive movements that you've donated to. Think about all of the progressive movements that you poured money into and given your email address to. Think about all of the entities that came and went.
All they did was sign up for a newsletter.
It's
just a newsletter.
It's 2025, and this is just hitting them now. So this is the issue. This is the issue with progressives, is that they have to wait. They're not preemptive. They have to wait for a horrible thing to happen and then have this dialectical materialist excuse for why it happened. They cannot create. Exactly. They have to wait for something to happen and then have a post hoc rationalization of it. You guys could have been, it's 2025. Do you have any idea the infrastructure on the internet that we have right now? You motherfuckers are using X to connect with each other. Like, you have Blue Sky. Create your own shit. They can't. They cannot create their own shit.
No, they can't. And the thing is that, I mean, I was going to say their ideas are not, their ideas are popular if they phrase it and coach it in specific ways.
Right. Oh, no, yeah, Cenk does that all the time with like, Kyle Kalinske, 78% of people want Medicare for all. And it's like, how did you let them know? Destiny has covered this. Did you let them know that they wouldn't be able to keep their private insurance in that questionnaire? The answer is no. They phrase it very biasly and then go, this is what the American people want.
And the thing is, right? Okay, so this is another thing I was thinking, right? All civilizations fall, right?
Yes.
All civilizations fall. So the communist project is built on the idea that you can perfect civilization, right? So it'll never fall and it can become a utopia. So it's about centralizing power into everything and giving over all aspects of governance of everything of your life over to one entity. That's what it's about. So like it's just, once again, it just drives me nuts that they absolutely refuse to look at things that will inevitably happen. And they're like, well, in the meantime, it'll be good. But yeah, let's take away people's individual autonomy, centralize it in the state. Eventually, the state will collapse, and then everyone will die because no one will be able to take care of themselves. But we don't have to worry about that. Don't worry about that. It's just they just drive me nuts. I'm just bitching. They drive me insane.
It's not just Cenk Uygur. I'm thinking also about Sean King. Think about.
Imagine ever thinking Talcum X was on your side.
I know. Also, I didn't. I can't remember. I mean, he's completely superfluous at this point. Does Sean King does he even say anything? Like, who
do you remember when Sean King was going to be on the Young Turks?
No, but I remember when Sean King was.
Do you want to know why you don't remember Sean King was going to be on the Young Turks? They cut a whole WWE promo for him, and he had like one episode and never came back. They had this whole build-up that Sean King was going to join them, and then just disappeared. Yeah.
I remember he was very big. What was he big around like 2019, 2020, right around like the height of like George Floyd type stuff?
I've been subscribed to his newsletter for 7 years now. Did you know that?
Can I just, if that's the case, then you actually should own everything that Sean King has done. So using Ben Dixon's logic.
I walked into it. How did I not know I was walking into that?
I know, right? Like freaking Sean King sitting over there on top of his giant pile of gold inside of his fiefdom, like the fucking dragon from the Hobbit movies or the books, right? And he's just sitting there owning everything that you own, RD. That's your stuff. Go grab it.
Think about all of the charismatic leaders that you poured resources into. Where are they right now?
Standing right here.
Name me one charismatic leader over the last 20 years of the progressive movement that is still holding the line. It's not even me because I've only been on the scene for the last
It's not
10
me.
years.
It's not me. Yeah,
not him.
yeah. You're fucking definitely right. It's not you, dude. It's definitely not
Absolutely.
you.
But
Show
here's
me
the
all
thing,
these
though.
charismatic leaders and where are they now? And it's like,
No.
Right.
Here's the thing, though.
It's a
Okay, we're
grift.
watching this and making fun of it. I'm greatly looking forward to Silly and Billy over at the Vanguard covering this and then just saying over and over and over again, 100% meth, over and over. They're going to glaze.
I'm so ashamed
this-
to admit that I have to. You don't have to listen to these podcasts. I have to listen to myself, and I'm starting to catch ticks of things that I've made fun of, and then I'm seriously saying them. Like I catch myself saying 100%, and I'm like, oh fuck,
100%.
because I make fun of something so much that it's just in my subconscious brain when I'm talking.
Yeah, but no, the Vanguard will watch this and they'll literally just they'll glaze him the entire time and say that he's spitting fire the entire time.
And even if I had been here for 20 years, I will still tell you this. What progressive and leftists need right now is decentralized leadership.
You think they'd fucking love crypto, right?
Yeah, they hate crypto.
Well, but it's decentralized. Why do they hate crypto? Because it's a form of currency? Because it's a form of money?
They've given reasoning. They think it's like a scam.
Oh, Matt Binder has a whole thing about being anti-crypto. I'm pretty sure his entire podcast is about being anti-crypto.
I'm excited for this next part because like the graphics that come up seem like they should belong on like the Home Shopping Network. It's
Dude,
so funny. So funny.
We need the ability to organize ourselves, to move into action ourselves, to reach each other ourselves, to not have to wait for permission to get an email out from an organization.
Yeah, because under communism, that's not what the internet would be like, right? He's communicating this on a platform that was made by the most hyper-capitalism that's ever existed, okay? And sure, it's gone too far in certain aspects, and sure, there's parts of it that are much more exploitative than others, but you want to know what it does? It fucking exists, so you're able to criticize it. You can never criticize socialism or communism, because it doesn't fucking exist.
That's correct.
That has a corporate agenda. Why? Because they have corporate interests. Why? Because they want to grow. They wanted to build. They wanted to expand. They wanted to get bigger studios. They wanted to get bigger office spaces. And so now they have bills, they have debt, and they have to do what corporate America says do, what their corporate investors say do, even though they still claim to be progressive and people-driven and people-funded. We've poured resources into individual leaders.
You boring idiot. Let me try and cover some more ground right now so we can crawl. Here we go. Let's go here.
And I don't think that we can afford to do that. So
Let's go from the beginning of the music.
TYT is dead. Long live TYT.
Oh my God!
Unless an individual is willing to surrender their infrastructure to the people, then we would have just wasted and poured our resources into yet another charismatic
watching this fucking
leader.
video.
And I don't think that we can afford to do that.
You can't afford anything.
So what do we need to do? Good question. I'm glad you asked.
Boom. PowerPoint, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So what do we need to do? Good question.
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked.
Self-organized, more details
What we
in
need
the
right
moment.
now more than ever is the ability to organize ourselves and to.
I was fully prepared for you to start freestyling just then. I was gonna let you fucking take the reins just then. You had the vibe. You thought about doing it.
No, my friends and I used to do that. We would drive around. It was called rapping about what we see, and we would just play a beat and then rap about whatever restaurants we saw. But anyways, keep going.
Well, I now have the whitest thing captured in audio in human history. Thank you for that. Me and my friends used to play this game called... Black people call it a cipher. There's a history behind it. White people are like, I used to do that too. And we used to do it about the 99 and Applebee's.
Yeah, exactly. And Arby's.
Communicate with one another far beyond our individual reaches on social media. What has happened since Elon?
So you know what? Let's interpret this. So this is the antithesis, and he's hoping to get a synthesis.
Yeah.
So he wants to self-organize because it's decentralized. So what's been happening in his mind is that the organization has come from the top down. Now everybody has to organize themselves. Okay, you staying with me? Okay.
Yeah. Good luck with that. No, it's gonna go great.
I could go off on this. Let's keep going.
Elon Musk took over Twitter is that Musk successfully divided us back into our individual silos, making it more difficult for us to cross-pollinate, to even...
He's made it more individual. Yeah, you hear a lot more individuals speaking, and there's spaces where more individuals can talk to each other, and there's more individuals in the conversation. But this isn't diversity. This is not a diversity of opinion. This is an echo chamber. It's the opposite of reality.
And these people, these communists, like barely any of them, like they're not like populating tons of spaces. They're not. They could be used. I know
they had to self-victimize. They had to go. We don't have any power.
Yeah, and I know the algo does certain things to you and stuff. It makes it hard to do other stuff.
Sure.
But like they could literally be starting their own spaces. They could be using X, even if it's a Musk-centric, Musk owning it. They could be using X to organize.
And they can not allow any right-wingers in. And if a right-winger comes in, they can boot them. You have full autonomy.
It's because they don't care. They're just a bunch of shithead grifters.
Low skill, low aptitude, low effort, and then they want to blame everybody else.
Even hear from each other,
Commies.
From even being able to see one another's tweets. And so we've been broken down.
Elon Musk changed the block setting where now you can see what they say, but you can't respond to it, which I love. So it's actually in that regard. See, this is exactly what you're saying. He could bring up how Elon Musk with the H-1B visas and all of a sudden there's people that are getting their monetization taken away. You could have brought H-1B1. Yes, thank you. So he could have brought that up. That would have been valid. And that would have been like, it's tough for me to defend that. But he brings up how they're being censored and it's like being blocked. I like that I can see who's blocked me. Don't you love that? Do you ever go on a thread and you see that like 2 or 3 people have blocked you?
Yeah.
That you otherwise wouldn't have known. So it's exactly what you said earlier, where the criticism is completely unwarranted when there are criticisms that are much more dire that,
And it's because they live in a complete hyper reality. How are they going to criticize actual reality if they can't understand what's real? It's impossible.
Basically back into our very small individual pockets, while simultaneously Elon Musk has coalesced.
I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible, but they all ran to Blue Sky. What are you talking about? They all ran to the thing that the leftists made.
And solidified all of the right-wingers across the globe. The same thing has been happening with media. So here's what we need to do. I am talking with several hosts and are going to be talking with many more progressive hosts about creating a decentralized media network.
We can all agree that he's trying to centralize the decentralization right now, right?
Oh, no. A communist would never pretend to decentralize and actually try to centralize everything. No, that's definitely not something they would do.
Everyone, listen to this message. I promise it's decentralized. Everyone do what I'm saying.
Do exactly what I'm saying. I'm not the leader,
but it's decentralized.
It's not me.
And we're going to explore all of the flaws with this. Okay, now we're good. We don't have to fast forward anymore. Here we go.
That we would all participate in order to give life to it. That's going to take time. But here's what we can do immediately. 2 things. Number 1, I'm going to ask every single content creator, every single progressive content creator, whether you have a full-fledged show or whether you just put out videos every now and then, or perhaps you only put out shorts, or you write articles, whatever it is that you do. If you are a communicator of progressive...
By the way, read my article. This video sucks. Read my article.
So what I'm going to do, and I've done this with like white nationalists and stuff like that, where I try to actually help them make their idea happen. Because they both are so illiberal, where I love to explain how they could do what they want to do under a liberal society, but they can't because they're illiberal. So there are steps to like make what he's wanting to do come to fruition, and I'm going to help him with that as he goes along.
All right.
And leftist values. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to place a call to action in every single segment, every single article.
Propaganda.
What do I mean? Call to actions like this. Right now, the Islamic and Muslim community, the Arab communities are under attack because of what happened on Bourbon Street. The fangs of American fascism as it relates to Islam, they are out in full force. And so I have asked my supporters, people who watch my show, to organize themselves and to go onto social media and to fight back against every single word that is said against.
So this isn't a very good strategy when your demographic, your audience that you're talking to, are most well known for blocking people.
Right.
You're picking the worst fucking people for this crusade, dude. Off the bat.
And that's why that's one of the reasons why communism always fails. Even if the leader is okay and charismatic and can organize things, right? Because they're authoritarians, so maybe they can organize some stuff. The leaders are so stupid.
That's why liberalism wins, because we just
Exactly. And their leaders, their organizers are so dumb because they're actually buying into the decentralized aspect of it, so they don't know how to do anything. So it's like, I also love how these communists, like, there's a terrorist attack by a homegrown, like, extremist ISIS person, unless it's like a false flag, and he's already talking about how we must defend people from Islamophobia, even though people are like, maybe we should have a conversation about, like, Islamism and how violent it could be.
You're forgetting that Pastor Ben agrees with the Marxist analysis universally. He just doesn't agree with his methods. So he's trying his own synthesis where he's going to do it right this time. And the way that he's going to do it is to tell people who are the least equipped to have a fucking debate to go online and be, cunty? You think that's a new strategy? We've been making fun of you people for a decade for just being insufferable. What, we're going to have a bunch of Emma Viglins and Francesca Fiorentinis just be really condescending and shitty, and you think that's going to fucking win people over? No wonder why, but now I agree with Cenk. No wonder why Cenk Uygur is done with this, because he can't acknowledge the communism, the maximum left, and he's like, Jesus Christ, this strategy does not work. This is beating your fucking face against a wall until it's bloody red.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would love 100%. I would love to be in a room with Cenk and actually like pick his brain on what he actually is thinking. But keep going.
I actually just want to sit upon his breast for warmth. I wouldn't mind doing that.
Islam.
So
why
hairy.
do I say that as a Christian pastor? I say that because I know what happened last time. I know what happened in 2003. I know how many innocent civilians were killed because of America's war in Iraq. And I also know what happens when frame,
as it says on screen, a lens through which we interpret information, highlighting some ideas while filtering out others, shaping how we see the world. See frame theory for more information. So, like, it's 2025.
Is the frame just the dialectic? Is that what that is?
Right. So in 2025, he's now putting frame on screen and saying what it is and where you can go to get more information. Do you think he's a little late for that? It's like they're giving their audience like coloring books and like paint by numbers, and they're like starting from the beginning.
And you know why this is? Sorry, this is going to appeal to a lot of people, but to us though, like we're so used to seeing the turn of the dialectic and how this shit just keeps happening in a cyclical nature that I feel like this is something that we've seen so many times. But to so many up and coming young leftists, they're going to be enthralled by this and be like, "Wow, look at this stuff he's saying."
This is not appealing to a lot of people. He's only gotten this attention because of hating on TV. That's why. He's chasing the dragon. He's trying to be like, I swear to God, guys, this is the last video I'm going to make on TYT, but he knows he's getting no fucking views. He made a fucking video before this one that had 1.3 thousand views on it. I've had two videos in the past month that have gotten like 2K views, and I have 381 subscribers, and he has like 178,000 subscribers. So
embarrassing.
So he's not getting these consistent views because listen to him. He's not entertaining. And so and so that's why he's jealous of the charismatic thing. And so right now he's like, okay, this is my last hurrah. I swear, I don't need the bumpers in bowling anymore. I'm going to put the bumpers down and I'm going to bowl like everybody else. And now I'm going to actually make content without shitting on the Young Turks this is the last time, this is the last video I'm gonna make, but it's really important. But no, you're hanging on to views. Like you can't be an honest leftist. It doesn't exist.
You can't be an honest leftist, and you can't be a substantive leftist. All you can be is a very good sophist.
Cognitive framework, the worldview, the ideas go completely unchallenged. When the ideas of MAGA go unchallenged, it creates.
MAGA is challenging their own ideas as this moron is making the fucking video.
That's all they're doing. All MAGA is doing is arguing with itself and then arguing with dissident figures that maybe aren't a part of MAGA, and then they're arguing with the liberals that have aligned with MAGA.
How the fuck did the last episode that we made was about how the right was fighting each other? Yeah. How do those retards, how are they able to acknowledge that? But he's like, they go unchecked. It's just propaganda. The higher up you go, the more it's propaganda and the less actual dialogue there is.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. I mean, like, right? It means propaganda, right? The propaganda be truthful, but it literally does not matter. It's morally
neutral.
Yes, right. But like to them, though, I mean, they could just outright lie and just bring that reality into existence.
You mean how like they're going to want to execute people publicly, public executions? You think that was a little heavy-handed?
Yeah, just a little, just a tiny bit.
A feedback loop that will lead to violence. And if we leave those conversations completely unchecked and nobody from the left, nobody with an alternative view is willing to get in there and fight, even on social media.
Wait, so, yeah. Are we going to fight in real? Are we going to fight in real life? Is he calling for violence in the street?
No, of course not. So what he's calling for is break MAGA's frame, shake their confidence, disrupt their echo chambers. Now, liberals didn't need someone to tell them to do that. Because when liberals see an echo chamber, they go, hey, guys, what's going on over there? And they do it themselves. So there's actually a lot of, he's trying to mimic liberalism, where there's a lot of, liberalism is very decentralized. Can we agree on that?
Ideally.
It's like the most decentralized thing you could possibly have.
And think about it. That's what, right? That's like the dialectic, right? It's communism is a parasite with a specific end goal in mind. And then it looks at different systems and tries to take what works the best out of those systems and then repurpose it for their own purposes towards their goal. So that, yeah, of course he's going to try to do that.
Yeah, it honestly seems like thesis liberalism, antithesis communism, synthesis retarded moron is what we're dealing with right now.
Yes, that sounds about right.
So break MAGA's like, oh yeah, MAGA's terrified of arguments, right? They don't love arguing with the other side. Like, there's so many examples. Like, that's how the right got big. It's because they're willing to debate the other side in public. What are you talking about?
All they do is bitch about each other. They're constantly fighting because, like, you know, there's groups and stuff, and there's groupthink, and there's factions. And there's the kind of a cult around Trump. You know, like some of my coworkers are like that, where they literally think that like anything that Trump does is good. But at the same time, like you said, there's factions. So these factions constantly clash with each other because they have it's a populist movement, right? And so you're going to literally swoop up a bunch of different people with a bunch of different motives and goals.
It creates the idea of a consensus. It gives them the feeling of a mandate. It makes them feel like they're absolutely right because no one has ever told them to their faces that they're absolutely wrong.
Projection.
And so on my show,
no one's ever told MAGA they're wrong. No one's ever told them they're wrong.
Nope.
Dude.
The last 9 years.
He has to be in an abusive relationship. Like, these people have to be abusive partners to gaslight on this fucking level.
Yeah, no, in this gaslighting that he's doing, it's going to extend to other aspects of his life. Where he thinks that he's right.
Like, if his wife disagrees with him, he has to tell her what she means by the disagreement, right? Like that kind of fucking sick shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So I am asking every single episode, every single podcast, every single segment, I am putting out a call to action to my supporters, to people who watch my content, people who view my stuff live in the chat rooms. My challenge to them is to go onto social media and to get active on the very issue that I'm talking about. Whatever it is that we talk about, we must activate our
Whatever it
audiences.
is.
Here's a second thing that you need to do.
I don't know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about something, so we're going to figure it out. Oh, I'm getting kind of sweaty. Look at me wipe my brow really quick.
I know. Oh my god, he has the fucking handkerchief and he doesn't even fucking use it to wipe his brow.
Well, the handkerchief,
it really is just a prop.
I was just gonna say, like, he came into this knowing that the handkerchief was a prop, so he's not even thinking about using it.
I know, but he's actually preaching right now, and he's actually sweating. He's actually doing a call to action, and he doesn't have his fucking prop. What a goon!
Do you think that when he tries to faith heal people, they just shit their pants? I feel like that's what happens.
So he is laying the groundwork here for something that's so fucking classically communist, okay?
Oh god! Oh, you mean what he wants to do with the Young Turks?
So I don't know if...
Or do I miss that?
No. This is something that I passively thought as I was listening to this, okay?
Okay. All right.
So the issue is that there's owners, okay? And Hassan has also run into this, and Vosh has also run into this, okay? Where if you compensate your workers not enough, it's exploitation, right?
Yeah.
But do they view it as exploitation if you convince them to do it for free for a political cause? He's asking for their labor to go out and do this messaging every single day as much as they possibly can.
Can I just say that what he's asking them to do is basically what Cenk asked all the contributors of the Young Turks to do? He barely paid them anything. It was just about getting the message out.
But he barely paid them anything. It's not exploitation if you pay them nothing. That's the genius of it. So you're expected to do this for the cause for free, and that's not exploitation because you've been demoralized and coerced into doing it.
Moderators from every single show, every single chat room, every single progressive media outlet. If you are a moderator, what I need you to do is
your labor for free. That's what he needs. Is
exactly.
there free
the
labor to do this?
Because
you're being exploited if you're being underpaid, but you're passionate if you're volunteering. And how fucking great is that, dude?
I know. It's amazing.
I need you to work with your host. And when your host gives that call to action, you need to disseminate that down into the audience. And I need you to motivate the audience to get into action and go do something about it. Here's where...
Can I say that I'm looking forward to this? Like, no one's ever going to talk about this video again, probably.
No,
except
never.
for maybe like a couple of reactions, maybe. And this is never going to happen. And this is literally just him trying to get more clicks and position himself as the leader of the online progressive movement.
He's an activist.
He's so fucking cringe is what he is.
Performative. That's why no one listens to him, and that's why he knows the views are going away. So he's like, okay, how do I make this message loud and clear? This is what we should do. I'm going to stand on this. He's going to stand on business. And he wants, we'll see what he wants.
Where we strike back immediately. We're not going to wait until we have the decentralized entity that we're trying to build.
That's because it's never going to happen.
Time.
Right.
We'll get there. But here's how you can get active right now.
He described the end goal of communism and how we're never going to get there. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do in the meantime, leading up to the thing that we're never going to get.
Accidentally and or on purpose, genocide a bunch of people and sign up for a whole lot of newsletters.
You are a moderator of any progressive chat. You become a key organizer in this movement because you can take the call to action from that host and you can disseminate it down to every viewer and insist, encourage, and push and say, go get into action. And what does that do? Every day, every episode, every clip, every segment, we have a body of people who get off of YouTube, get off of Facebook, and they get off of Twitch, and they go onto social media and they fight back. And they fight back with the information that they just got from the host. They fight back with...
we just have to realize, okay? Cenk. Remember we were talking to Tunis, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Lenin wasn't a communist because he was an authoritarian that centralized power.
Previous
episode. Give it to the people. Yeah.
Yep.
So in this instance, Cenk is Lenin. And this guy
is the next turn of the dialectic who's going to institute real decentralized communism to the people. That's what's happening here. Cenk is Lenin. He wasn't a real communist. He was just an authoritarian, which you can see.
This guy's giving away the power. So this guy's a real communist because he's giving away the power.
If you don't hear from me, it's because I'm bleeding out because I cut my own dick off because I can't listen to this anymore.
I had no idea your ears were in your dick.
With the talking points that they just got from the host, they fight back with the team of people that they just squatted up with in the chat room, and you get on social media and you push back against MAGA narratives all day, all night, nonstop. The battle is in the public square, and
he wants you to work 24/7 for free.
Yeah.
He wants
Correct.
every waking moment to be in service of the revolution for free, and you're being exploited if you're being compensated.
And you got to think about this. This is a directive that is coming from the top down. This is as authoritarian as it gets. So funny.
And the public square, for better or for worse, is social.
Well, no, you choose. So he's different.
No,
He wants you to choose the authoritarian. That's the Western dude. The ACP, the American Communist Party,
Yeah, they openly admit it.
they're great people compared to these people. All right?
I don't know about
they're
that.
fantastic.
They're at least honest. I don't know if they're great people. But
Yes,
they're honest.
Well,
Yeah, but they're
that
not great
makes
people.
you a great person compared.
Oh my.
In terms of being a communist, okay? The people that are calling themselves communists, claiming that North Korea is communist, I would choose them over fucking progressives any day of the week. I never thought I would get to this point.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they'll fail, and then hopefully we'll be able to rebuild something. But in the meantime, there won't be state institutionalized, state-sanctioned gender surgeries. So, I guess you can take what you can get.
Media, especially Elon Musk's Twitter. Nobody has to do anything I say. I'm simply putting it out here and I'm asking you.
Not
For
authoritarian.
every progressive media host, number one, we need you to give a call to action based on the segment that you're in.
Okay, here's how we fight back. The hosts make strong, clear calls to action. The moderators share the call to action widely and energize viewers to take action. So the only way you can get people to do this without compensating them would be to convince them that Trump wants to kill people in the street. That would be in service of it's payment or fear. It's one of those. I don't know what else would propel you to spend every waking moment to do this until when? Until you're burnt out?
Yeah.
Don't let a segment end without a call to action. Number two, the moderators, you take that call to action and you make sure you not only have the call to action, but you have the information, you have the links, you have the memes, you have the graphics, you have whatever the audience is going to need.
He's unironically seizing the memes of production right now. He thinks that these content creators have a press kit, like they're a fucking local band. Like they're releasing their first EP with an electronic press kit of their fucking band that's going to be disseminated.
He did the meme about seizing the memes of production. Oh, it's so good.
Like,
Holy
first you have to talk, but they don't believe in hierarchy, so he can't... It's decentralized, so he cannot centralize it, so he just has to already believe that it's going to happen in its head, because he is left with no other tools to make this happen.
I always love how they don't believe in hierarchy, but in order to at least try to implement their program, they have to create their own hierarchy, and then eventually the hierarchy will dissipate. So it's like, in order to get rid of hierarchies, they have to institute a new hierarchy, thus proving the need for hierarchies. It's so funny.
Well, I mean...
They're so silly.
Yeah,
they're so silly.
They're anti-hammerists, and they need to get these nails into some wood, okay? So they're going to bring out a bunch of pots and pans and some bricks that are going to crack over the needle-thin diameter of the nail. And they're going to bring out all these other tools because they're removing the best tool to actually do it.
I don't know what that was. I apologize. I can tell you what that was. That was Burn in Hell by D.B. Borger. My phone started coming to life. It's a great cover. Have you ever heard it? It's amazing. Anyway, sorry.
Need to move into action. The host makes the call to action. The moderator disseminates that call to action
Here's
to
how
the
it's gonna
people in the
happen.
chat room.
Yeah.
And you encourage them every single segment to go onto social media and to
be
fight back.
as annoying
Pick a
as
fight
possible.
with MAGA.
Yeah.
Pick a fight with MAGA.
You see, the issue is that leftists aren't annoying enough on social media. That's what the
Yeah.
problem is. Now we have to start really being super
Also-
annoying.
Also, what is that going to do? What is arguing
It's
with
fighting.
people?
What's
I know, but
Cenk?
it's just
He's synthesizing. What Cenk
it's just
Uger ta-
arguing with. I know,
he's-
but it's just arguing with people in comments. It does nothing.
He's synthesizing. Cenk Uger
Yeah.
says fight back. That's centralized power. So his synthesis is decentralized fight back. So Cenk Uger, don't leave it to him to fight back. He won't fight back. All of you have to enact the labor of fighting back.
And then don't have a beer afterwards.
It's right, the opposite. Well, it has to be a synthesis, so you can put some wine in your dinner. Okay, something
nice, okay.
that's in between.
Yeah.
That's what you pick a fight with
That was
MAGA.
Terrible.
Oh,
Don't
wow.
be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of their trolling. Troll them better.
But they're gonna execute
See,
you in
this-
public, though. They're gonna execute you in public. So
So
you be afraid of them.
have you seen when
Because-
leftists bring up Umberto Eco, his 14 points of fascism?
No, I'm unfamiliar.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. I usually don't get. So you argue with leftists,
Yeah.
and I'm like, just go fuck yourself. Like I can't.
Right.
I don't have the patience for it. Yeah.
So one of the 14 steps is the enemy is both strong and weak, and that's a sign of fascist rhetoric, which is what they do constantly with the right. They're both pathetic little pussies, but also going to kill you.
You got to think about. I mean, that's like one of the rules is built upon a contradiction between a false dialect between two things that can't both be true at the same time. It doesn't get any more Marxist than that.
I'll have to show you the
send
the
it to me. I
14
love it.
after. Yeah.
This is the other thing. Like, I know I'm going. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I'm just going to say what I got to say because we got to say it and we got to move on. We got stuff to do. We got battles to fight. But we run Twitter. We built it. We understand.
He just was Kang'd Twitter.
He did.
The
He
leftists
did.
built Twitter. So hold
The
on.
leftists
So
was
wait,
the original Twitterist.
whoa. So we built it. So progressive, leftist, who? So what a fucking co-opting of something that somebody else did. And since you guys used it, now hey, you know what? They may not have sent any emails or newsletters on there, but they sent some DMs and they posted, right?
Yeah,
So now it's theirs.
Oh God.
And how this place goes. We built social media. Leftist movements help build social media. And we're not shocked. Don't be scared of 4chan trolls. Most of them are insecure men children, emotionally stunted teenage boys trapped in middle-aged men's bodies. We combat them. We fight them, number one, because we're right on the issues. Number two, we're right on the facts.
Oh God.
Number one, we're right on the issues, which involve no facts. That's just their political propaganda. And number two, we're right on the facts. Very compelling.
Super compelling.
Objective reality aligns with progressive values.
Objective reality aligns with progressive values.
That is. That's.
Well, hold on. There's a caveat. You ready for the caveat?
Yeah.
That's not necessarily always the case, but
Wait, what?
That's not necessarily always the case.
Hold on. Where's he going with this? Let him cook. What's he going to say next?
overwhelmingly, the objective facts of a matter align with progressive thought, or else we push back against it.
And even if it's not true, we put or else. So yeah, we're objectively correct, or else we push back against it.
Oh my God.
That's what he said. I'm just saying what he said, okay?
Oh man, there's just so much wrong with what he said. We could do a 3-hour podcast unpacking that one statement.
So you not only have the objective truth on your side,
but even if
when
you
you
don't
go into battle, you will have your squad on your side. You will have your friend from the chat room flanking you on the left and your friend from the other chat room flanking you on the right.
He's right. They always kill each other, so they're going to be flanking. Yeah, get ready for your comrades to... I know he wants to say that you're going to flank them. Like, you know what a flank is in battle? It's like when you come in from the side. It's like a diversionary tactic.
Right. Yeah,
right.
From the left
so
to the
you're
right, slightly behind them.
So your comrades are going to flank you from the left and they're going to flank you from the right. He wants to say that you're going to be flanking your opposition, but they're going to flank you. Yeah, they're going to stab you in the back along the way, 100%. I couldn't agree with him more.
As you go into battle with MAGA, what difference does it make? Well, come on. If we understand that the rightward shift in this country came as a result of conservative media and conservative social media, then it stands to reason that we have an opportunity to weaken that by getting back into the fight.
Makes no sense.
Cenk, we need you doing this right now, brother. More people would hear you. More people would have heard this from you utilizing the platform that progressives trusted you with than will ever hear it from me and my small little platform. But I'm going to do the best I can to get it out. And I need all of you to share, like, and subscribe to make sure that this message gets out. So here's the next thing that we need you to do. The moderator.
Hold on. Okay. I love it, though, because he's like, here's the next thing on your fucking laundry list of things that you have to do. And this is all laborious.
For free.
This is all so much labor. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I'm almost starting to lean in a direction. I don't like Cenk, but I'm starting to lean in a direction where I actually think that he, like, maybe he's being more good faith than people actually give him credit for.
This man will make you take anyone else's side. It's incredible.
No, I know. And it's just like, because, so right now, there's probably a bunch of money to be made by being a leftist, right? Leftists love priding themselves on being like the revolutionary force that will fight back against fascism. Now, fascism is coming into power. And honestly, Anna is more good faith than Cenk. Anna literally was sexually assaulted and like went through some shit to where she's like, fuck Gavin Newsom, right?
Yep.
And Cenk actually cares about Anna. So, like,
okay,
I don't know. I'm like being charitable.
You're trying to see. Well, you want to know how it's possible. There has to be something there. It's a human being, and somehow he's rationalizing it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's sometimes we kind of like tend to dehumanize these people because it makes sense because
it is funny. Sure,
it is, and you know, and they become these public figures, so they become propagandists, so they have to keep up this front. But like, Anna literally went through something, and Cenk cares about her. So, like, I mean, in the gulag, I'm gonna be having my gruel with Cenk over Ben Dixon. Is basically all I'm saying.
Dude, he will make you like people more that you thought were. They are beyond reproach, but I can't believe the amount of this. I think this is the worst. Is this the worst? This is one of the worst. This is just one of. I said that it really makes me appreciate the American Communist Party, and then it made you say that it makes you like appreciate Cenk more, like listening to him. That's how bad this is. Really let that sink in.
Let's listen to it for another 45 minutes, and I'll be like, you know what? We should give Lance from the Serfs another shot.
He'll work his way down the line.
Fucking no.
Your Lance is my Sam Cedar. God, I haven't said I feel better about Sam Cedar this entire. I would.
Well,
dude,
it's because
I have mine as well.
And specifically because Lance is like really, really heavy on the LGBTQ trans
that makes sense.
Rhetoric.
Yeah,
that's why it makes me so mad. That's why it makes me so mad.
Just have their role to play. The supporters, the fans, the listeners, the viewers, you have your role to play on social media, but you have a secondary role to play. You need to become an evangelist for progressivism.
When do we get a break? Do we get a 15-minute at any point with all he's constantly going, and here's what else you have to do, and here's the next thing you have to do.
You get a break once we finally enter into Ben Dixon's decentralized propagandist influencer utopia. Okay, that's when you get a fucking break.
It's not even a pyramid, it's just a puddle because it doesn't go up or down. It just spreads out wider with no influence whatsoever.
You need to understand what it means to be progressive. What are we fighting for? We're fighting for the marginalized and the least of these in every single issue. Simple as that. If there's an underdog, we fight for them. If there's an oppressed group, we fight for them.
Wow.
If there's someone being marginalized, we fight for them. If there's poverty, we fight against it. If there's homelessness, we fight against it.
I just imagine them fighting homeless people. Like, how are you fighting it? Like, you're doing a lot of fighting. You're swinging your fists constantly, but I'm trying to see how you're getting any of these things done.
Oh, man. I wish they knew what they were actually advocating for, and they'd stop advocating for it, but that's never going to happen.
If there's sickness, we fight against it, and we advocate for healthcare, Medicare for all. If there's war, we fight against war, but we also recognize the aggressor in the war. We must understand our progressive values and never allow anything to betray it. That's the only way that you will be able to tell your neighbor and your friend about it.
You see, like, this is the issue with not being an open Marxist, because they don't have anywhere, like, they're just going to watch the next video. At least with the American Communist Party, there's like, here's this lineage of philosophy that carries through our poisonous directive.
Yes. And I love that, like, right, they don't openly admit to being Marxist, but that all they do all day is apply dialectical materialism and freaking like dialectical like idealism. They apply it to everything, and they're constantly doing it over and over and over again, but they just won't call it what it is.
Your coworker about why they should support progressive and leftist ideas.
Yeah, talk to your family, your coworker.
Yeah, harass people in your life.
Like, that's the SJWs from 2015 and 2016. Like, this is how the right wing got power in the first place, by making fun of these insane blue-haired psychos, constantly injecting politics into absolutely everything. But they can't create anything new. And all they can do is what they've already done with different words.
Yes. Yep.
Because this is what we stand for. What do we stand for? We stand for community. We stand for community.
Word.
Come, let us reason together. We stand for unity.
Oh my God. Community. Community. We come together and stand for unity. Did you catch that?
Yeah, it was amazing. That was better than the rap that I did earlier, honestly.
Oh, he's rapping now.
Stand for equity. We stand for equity. We stand for opportunity for all. We stand for equity for all. We stand for diversity, because diversity is our strength. What does that mean specifically? What does that do? That means that every time you come to the comment section, every time you come into a chat room to support your favorite show, you should bring somebody new.
That's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, exactly. It literally is.
It's a funnel, but there's no hierarchy. So it's just an amorphous liquid that's always expanding and attaching itself to any surface that it can grab.
Yeah.
Period. Every time we don't have the millions of dollars to get our content in front of the eyes of millions of people, the way Ben Shapiro had $100,000 a month to promote his show to the stratosphere that it's at now, progressives will never have that.
Ben Shapiro left his house to make appearances in he travels constantly.
Yeah, he was giving lectures. Yeah, he was talking to universities. Exactly. Like he did.
He's a capital owner, so it was just given to him. That's how they position it.
Yeah, he did a bunch of like legwork in order to get to where he is, which they can't even imagine.
Not now. But what do we have? We have people who truly believe what we're saying.
Right.
We have people who truly believe in these values.
Right.
So what does that mean? You need to go and tell someone else about it. And you need to tell.
Not you need to think about it, delve deeper, do more research. Once you're on board, they're like Hare Krishnas. Bring somebody else on board. Go to a mall and start passing out pamphlets.
But there's nothing to dig deeper into. I mean, literally, they could just, everyone who wants to do what he's telling them to do could just listen to this hollow, shallow rhetoric about standing up for marginalized communities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then just tell people that. And it doesn't go any deeper than that. That's as deep as it goes.
Well, that's why they prey on their emotions and their humanity, because they'd rather, there's a way to be like rhetorically strong and understand that what you're saying has gravity and it has weight to it. And so you handle that with responsibility, and you don't necessarily rely on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is all they have to rely on.
Exactly.
Tell them about this person that you're listening to and why it is, what you like about them, what's so important about them. You need to send them clips. If your content creator can't create clips all day long, you need to find.
If your content creator can't create clips all day long, they usually fucking hire an editor that edits their streams and is responsible for releasing their clips to social media. That's usually what a content creator does.
No. The communist content creator has to rely on reply guys to make videos on their iPhones. It's literally what he's saying right now. It's literally what he's saying. Reply guys.
Find your favorite section of that show, clip it, record it on your iPhone, record it on your Android, and send it to somebody. You need to be a recruiter for.
You shouldn't send it to somebody so Destiny, as shitty as he is still a capitalist. And so he's already doing all of this. He has other people that are sending out his stuff. So doesn't Hassan, by the way. Hassan just lets people share all of his stuff. He's getting paid enough money, so he lets people just share his stuff. And when they share Hassan's reaction videos, he's not even reacting to it. And it's just sharing other people's content without crediting them. So, this is happening on multiple fronts. It's already happened in reality in a multitude of ways. And he thinks share it with someone. It's no, you need to centralize it and and make an account on X or on social media to disseminate the information.
But he'll just become another freaking Turkish water buffalo.
Birth, death.
Over and over and over again.
To the point where they're never born. Isn't that wild? It can't even be born into anything. You're not even letting it be born yet because you know it's going to die.
Well, yeah, they're just becoming.
Progressive values. So there you have it. There are 3 specific things that we can do right now in the aftermath of the demise of TYT and the fact that we don't have a centralized.
In the aftermath of the demise of TYT, but he wants them to still exist, right?
Well, he wants.
They already. This is what's going to happen when they're dead, but I want them to be alive.
I do love how, when you listen to these people, the douchebags over at the Vantards do it a lot too. They're like, oh no, we don't want TYT to go out of business. We just have a list of demands, and if they don't meet them, then we're just going to constantly harass them.
Media platform that can help guide us. We don't have a centralized leader who can help guide us. We are on our own. And so what do? 3 things again. Number 1, I'm asking every content creator. Brother Sam Cedar, I'll reach out to you. We need you to do this.
Brother Sam Cedar. So right now he thinks he has influence. He got a big head of steam right now. It's the most attention he's ever had. And he's trying to call out Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar, don't give a fuck about any of you, please.
I know. But what's funny, you keep saying propaganda video. That's correct. But think about what it really feels like. It feels like a infomercial at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.
Down to the graphics.
Down to the graphics, right? Over and over, think about it. If you record 2 hours of an infomercial and you fast forward every 15 minutes, odds are you're going to come across the same thing because the actual infomercial is 15 minutes long. So it's going to keep over and over and over again. It's just going to reiterate, iteration after iteration after iteration. How many times did you fast forward this and it felt as if you actually were in the same exact position you were before you fast forwarded because it keeps saying the same thing?
I didn't realize that until I fast forwarded it.
It's an infomercial. This video. It was 46 minutes and 28 seconds. It could have been about 5 to 6 minutes, and he would have got across the entire thing.
No, but he's preaching. He's got his handkerchief in his hand, and then once he's actually preaching, he doesn't even use it. Come on, dude.
Lord.
How are you real?
Single, progressive, leftist, liberal, whoever.
Ooh.
Midas touch, all of you. Everyone.
No, thank you.
It hurt him to say. It hurt him to say liberal.
It did. It declined. By the way,
the demon almost came out of him. Liberal.
It really
liberal.
Did.
We need you to not end your segment without a social media call to action. Why a social media call to action? Because number one, it is significantly important in terms of the public discourse and the public square. That's where the debates are happening, and we need you back into the fight. And so we need, number one, every host to close their segments with a call to action.
No one is going to do that.
We need the moderators to connect amongst all moderators, to create your own network of moderators. Set up your own moderator.
It honestly, since we come in so early in seemingly obscure things, it would be really fucking great to have this be a running theme where whenever it's not working out, it's because they didn't listen to Ben Dixon.
That'd be great.
So whenever it doesn't work out, we can always refer back to this and go, hey, he told you exactly what you should have done, and for some reason you guys didn't do it.
So did you notice that there was no call to action at the end of this video? It's crazy. I can't believe it. Although it's gonna be really funny if there's like some smaller content creators that are watching this that will actually do the call to action. Although it's interesting because the guys over the Vantards, they kind of like suckle on the teat of Ben Dixon. So I wonder if they'll put. I'm interested to see if they'll do a call to action thing. I'm gonna have to look out for that.
No, they won't, because they already have their own audience.
Yeah, that's true.
They know the people disseminating the propaganda. These ones, whenever he calls somebody out, they know that they're spitting out propaganda. Otherwise, he wouldn't call them out. They're doing their own. Dude, you think Zach gives a fuck? You think he gives a shit? And he's like, oh, he said to do that.
He's got fucking hand tattoos. He'll bite your fucking face off, Ben Dixon.
Raiders Discord, where you can house and store all of the calls to actions, all the
unhoused call to actions can go there.
Memes, all of the graphics, all of the talking
memes,
points, all the links to articles,
points.
And we need you to bring that to bear in
Use
the
your
audience.
labor.
And when a host gives a call to action,
when you're told
you
what
have
to do,
information there immediately accessible for the audience to grab and go into action. And to the audience members, you have two jobs. Number one, take that call.
Jobs. He's assigning jobs right now. Do you think that's going to be under Biden's employment at the end? He's dishing out so many jobs right now for free. It's your job to do it. Here's your job. I need you to work. This is the rhetoric that he's saying, as no one's getting paid for it. It's peak irony.
It's amazing. I'm going to keep an eye on it though. I hope.
I know.
I will laugh so hard if at least one person does the call to action thing. I'll laugh so.
I'm taking the win-win position where I can say I was right if it didn't happen, but I'll be so happy if it does.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Call to action and go be about it. Go do the work. Go pick a fight with MAGA.
Pick a fight.
Go push back against a lie. Go push back against misinformation and disinformation. Go push back against their violent rhetoric. Don't let them stand out.
I love how he's like, and anyone else but me is going to tell you what those arguments are and is going to give you those materials. He's like, but this is what, like, no content creator wants to hear this, because he's trying to put a burden onto them to do it when they did not consent to it at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's no way they'll go along with it.
No, absolutely not. Unless there's like some really young and up and comer that feels like they can grift off of Ben Dixon and like oh, maybe Ben Dixon will mention me because I put a call to action in my video.
Out there unchallenged, get into the fight and tag me in it. I'll be more than happy to get into the fight with you.
Don't do that.
And your second job.
That is the sign of a lonely man. You have like 180,000 subs on YouTube, and you're telling people to tag you to get into fucking internet arguments. Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
He has 180,000 subs.
Let me see exactly what it is. 173,000.
173. Oh, well. I would love to watch him fight with help fight fascists on Twitter with random
He wasn't supposed to be
in a
here.
comment section.
He wasn't supposed to be here. That Mondale conversation just so happened on his show. No one knows them. They're all going to forget about him, and they're all trying to soak up their 15 minutes right now. And that's what he's doing. He's on his last leg of this tour that he's been on for the past couple weeks. He wasn't supposed to. This happened because Mondale. There was like a 600,000 views on that video. He gets like fucking 5,000 views a video. So like he wasn't supposed to, so he's trying to do something with his platform right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's strike while the iron's hot, right?
Exactly.
Job is to become a full-time evangelist.
Full-time!
Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, talk about it, invite them. Don't come to an episode of your favorite host without inviting someone else to come watch it with you. And then the last thing that we all can do. Community. We need to ensure that our communities are interlocking, that the people who watch me live are watching Sam Cedar live.
So the people that are watching him live should be watching Sam Cedar live. Let's see how much time so in between all of your arguing on the internet and all the work you have to do and all the jobs that he's giving people. Let's see what else they're expected to do.
Sure.
They're watching the Vanguard live. That they're watching David Doyle, the Rational National live. That they're watching the Humanist Report live. That we're watching Rebecca Azor live. That they're watching Mark Lamont Hill live. Every single one of our audiences should be cross-pollinating and watching each other live.
I thought he might be able to save himself because he thinks that's the name of all their shows is live. And then at the end, really ties it in a nice, neat little bow and says, we should all be watching them live.
Also, why live? Why live?
I don't know. He's a boomer.
He really is.
We need to all be watching them live. So on top of all of your other duties, you now have fucking homework.
So that we can foster a community that they can't foster. The right doesn't have the ability to have community like we do. So that's it. I did not want this video to be a video of me simply going after Cenk Uygur. In fact, I hope that you can see that I'm trying to offer a modicum of grace to him. And when I think about the possibility that he's over there trying to tamper down on the most violent tendencies of MAGA by being a sacrificial lamb, I respect that. I think he's wrong in that you cannot appease a fascist. You cannot appease a Nazi. History has already...
You cannot appease a communist.
I know, right? And of course, communists are just fascists.
I know, but here's what history has always shown us.
Already taught us that. But if that's the role that he has chosen to play, then so be it. Simultaneously, that means that he can no longer identify as a leader of the left because he doesn't speak for us anymore. He can no longer say that he's a leader of the leftist wing of the populist movement because he doesn't speak for us.
Do you see how it goes from Marxism to socialism to progressive to now he can't speak for the left? Do you see how creepy and crawly it is?
Yes.
For the left in general, because the left is progressive and progressive is to the left of liberalism. And so the whole thing is communist.
Of course. Yeah, and Cenk has moved his way out of the movement because I'm interested to see because that's the thing. I was watching the Young Turks and they're literally saying, they're like, yeah, we're still progressives. We're still this, we're still that. Just these specific policies that they're pushing are not working and are actually making things worse. So once again, I'm just going to go good faith here. They actually did an internal critique of the policies that they've been pushing and went, this isn't working. So it's funny because it's you could still do, you could rework some sort of progressive policy and try to make it work. Just what's happening is not working.
But the communists have to appeal to the proletariat, to the workers, to the downtrodden.
Correct. Yes, and you also have to think of it this way, right? If you're a communist, the problem is never found within you. It is found within society outside of you because you have not yet accounted for some sort of variable. So to actually...
That's unfair. Anything...
To critique your own system is the most that's basically Cenk was being an anti-communist in that moment by critiquing the communist system. Which is it's worse. That's the worst thing you could do is to actually admit fault and blame because narcissists and psychopaths.
No, the worst thing you can do is be surrounded by communists and be an anti-communist and not realize you're an anti-communist. That's actually the worst thing. That's what it is. He is anti-communism. He's anti-Marxism. He just can't confront that about himself.
No. Well, that once you do that, once you rip that Band-Aid off, you're going to start looking
everything's
around.
A lie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anymore. He can no longer say, and he should no longer be able to parade around, carrying around the idea that he is the owner and the leader of the biggest progressive media network in the country. Why? Because progressives gave him that title. Because progressives built TYT. Our dollars built TYT. Our views, our clicks, our shares built TYT. And we did not build it. Every single one of us, including me, we did not build TYT to have the leader of TYT turn around and go and surrender to MAGA when we need to be fighting MAGA like hell. Be sure to download the article. Be sure to read the article. TYT.
Get the article.
No, be sure to download the article. You fucking boomer. Who are you appealing to?
T is dead. Long live TYT. It's I did a much better job there. I don't have a teleprompter, so I just got to go off the top of my head when I do these things. But it's outlined in the article. TYT as we know it.
Admitting that he just normally reads and is not used to speaking without reading something is what he just tacitly admitted.
Yeah.
This will be the first time we outlast the video. Here we go. TYT with a charismatic leader where we trust that his private company, that he's the CEO over and he has all control over. That model is dead. That model cannot be sustained. It has betrayed us too many times. But what people hoped TYT would be should always remain alive. In fact, if the 75 people who work for TYT...
It failed, but don't let the dream die, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, they tried to do a communism online. They just failed. Now he's going to do the correct
Don't let
communism.
that dream die.
We're given the opportunity to be that decentralized hub. Cenk, I just want you, if you truly are doing what you're doing because of, out of...
It really is contradictory. He wants decentralized centralization because he's describing anarchy, like the level of decentralized he's talking about, and how he's trying to approach this entire situation with absolutely no centralization. This is anarchy at this point.
Yeah.
I can see why like the Western Marxism thing it really is particularly frustrating for actual communists.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of what MAGA could become, then hear me out. Turn TYT. I know you won't do it. I doubt very seriously that you will do it, but I gotta ask you anyway. Turn TYT into a decentralized co-op where it's not spending an exorbitant amount of money on executive salaries. Step down. You and Anna, step down. Step down. Turn it into a co-op that's headed by some of the key voices that we...
Why do they have to turn it into a co-op when you guys could create your own co-op because all you do is co-opt?
Oh,
gotta end it there, bro. Gotta end it there. I ain't even done with it, but for right now, I'm done with it. All right, man.
Shit.